Ain't gonna stick around very long.
Well, I don't know if it's gonna drop like you say. There's
Well, that's true too.
You know, but it's like, we'll take it when we can get it, you know?
Depends on. If Europe puts their tariffs, I mean, we put tariffs on Europe. it's like, so
That might screw some things up.
so many medications and parts.
Well, road
Umbrella.
dropped.
Oh, you're talking about
Medications.
Oh, yeah, that would then.
So I mean,
We have a meeting Wednesday at recycling.
12:30.
12:30. Okay, we'll be done with seats by then. So,
Yeah, 12:30.
all righty. Well, perfect. And I will see you about 8:40 Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah, it's.
Okay, right at the parking lot. Okay, perfect. Thank you, gentlemen.
You bet, see you later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really won't be here today. He's snowed in Minneapolis.
Yeah, she sent a message.
Wow, we moved for a drive back this afternoon.
It was. You're doing overnight?
Oh my God, it was so loud. We put blue in, speaking of blue.
I'll tell you, it's a little windy up 152.
Yeah, I think so.
It's a little windy everywhere.
It's windy when I was out yesterday.
Really?
Good morning.
All right.
Doing well. Cold, but doing well.
You gonna try to come back today?
Yes, I hope I can drive back today. It's sunny and not as windy.
I'm there north of some road that can really drift in.
What's that?
North of some road down there can really drift on that highway.
Yeah.
So, we got to think about it. That's gonna be-
Oh, yeah.
Before then.
Yeah.
Whatever gonna transpire is gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's big. That's a big chunk of it. Space in there, sort of.
Kill a couple of trees.
Sure.
And Andy's.
Stick together.
Yes. So, very careful.
You guys are brave.
They take it down, so it's crazy.
Thank you.
Even.
I guess that, I never used it. We should have got that last out though.
Hey,
We're gonna. I have to walk out in about 10 minutes.
that's okay. That's great. Just glad you're here.
Hi again, Luther students. Thanks for being there.
Don't have it coming.
It's all like John's not too well either.
I know.
No, it's sick. He sent a message this morning.
Talk to him.
Okay.
So.
John just, oh yeah. Should be interesting. Drop it, you shouldn't drop it, that would be.
Right, put your lips to this. Need a bit.
Yeah, my. I have to see it ruined outside and she was glass. Well, it is 9:30. All those that so choose, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order. 4 present here, 1 electronically. As a reminder, our meeting is being recorded. If you choose not to be recorded, you have the option of leaving. With that, the first item on the agenda this morning, Krista Vanden, Brink, the Public Health Director with the Budget Review and Appropriation Resolution. Good morning, Krista.
You need a copy?
I know. Lots of relations.
No, I'm gonna take them in there, so you can double check that. Okay. Wait,
What kind of changes do we have?
Yeah, so we do have a few changes. We have actually been able to decrease some of our expenses to the tune of about $23,000. But also are increasing some revenues, which is also a good thing, right? So I just want to make a couple of highlights with the expenses and the revenues, just to point those out for you. So we are making some changes to some of our programs, and so you'll note that our mileage for our nurses and our home care aide, homemaker, we are taking those numbers down because we're not anticipating as much travel time with that. So that's one thing. And then of course, there's a couple of big elephants in the room, right? And one of them has to do with the rent, right? And so everybody kind of cringes when we have to pay rent. We are actively taking a look at what rooms can we merge, collapse, to possibly then have you go and renegotiate with Northern Iowa Community Action about some rental space. Do we need all that space? Yes, it's nice to have that. We have a lot of things that we do need to store, that we need to have access to. We need to make sure that they are climate controlled, relatively rodent controlled as well. And so Ben and I have had that conversation, are there things that we can take up to the jail that we can, the old jail, excuse me, that we can still have access to? What does that look like? And so we are actively taking a look at, like what are some of the paper documents that we have that we can actually just scan and don't need access to those on a paper form anymore. So taking a look at all that, really doing some active work with that one. And then, of course, the other big elephant in the room has always been the IT component. Our software program that we had to do our charting, that's at the top of page 4. And so we are in the last few months of our current contract that we signed that contract when we were a certified agency. And it had all the bells and whistles, it had everything that a certified agency would need it to have in order to be compliant. Well, we have changed, we've evolved, we're a different agency, we're decertified. We don't need all the bells and whistles that that program offers anymore. So we have been taking a look at what are our other software programs for charting, documentation purposes that we could actually utilize that are fit for our agency, specifically a public health agency. There's not a whole lot of companies that are out there. So certainly we can go back to pencil and paper, and then we run the risk of a lot of errors. Or we have another program that we've been taking a look at. The cost, I'll be honest, it's about $10,000 a year. So less than a third of what our cost is per year. So huge savings there. Of course, with the first year, there's always a startup fee. And so that first year, there's about a $6,000 startup fee. We have not taken any of that to our Board of Health yet. We are still taking a look at some of those questions that we have, want to make sure that it has the right flow for our agency. And so we have a few more of those phone calls that we need to make, but we're looking to bring a proposal to our Board of Health in February or March at the latest. And that is so that we have ample time to merge any records that would need to be merged, to go ahead and tie up any loose ends with our current software vendor and be able to transition and be fully operational already with that new software vendor. So those are some big ticket items. One thing that we did do is to move one of our employees from a category where they've been under the home care category, moving them more to the administrative component. So it's just a recategorization of people, right? So we're not losing anybody in that aspect.
How many do you have employees?
7 total,
7 total, including yourself.
including myself, yes.
That's,
And we're not all full-time.
how
Right?
many are,
Yeah, how many are full-time? 3 of us are full-time. And everybody else is part-time. When we go to the revenues, I talked about how we're
Can I
increasing.
just second, just so you know, you can see the names are like here, the health insurance is 2 full-time and the
well,
admin.
that's what I was kind of asking.
Yeah, and then 1 in the home care.
I was a little confused when I was kind of.
Sorry, sorry interrupted.
No. So as far as the revenues, again, we've increased some revenues. We've done some different fee structures. Some of those took place in early November. And so we are just now starting to see some of the results of some of those fee increases. And we won't actually see, obviously, a full year's worth until we do budget next year. And so, you know, again, we're a different agency trying to evolve. What we're trying to actually do is follow the money. And so our programs that are really bringing in some revenue are our homemaker program and our foot clinic program. So Happy Feet in particular, last Monday, we came back from the weekend. There were calls for 20 new people that wanted to be put on the schedule. That's an awesome problem to have. In the same token, we have 7 people currently on a wait list for our homemaker services. So again, it's a good program to have. So we are trying to make sure that we are dedicating staff and making sure that we've got better capacity to provide services for those money-making programs for us.
What kind of income has your Happy Feet program brought in for the first 6 months? So are you aware of that?
Well, we've been doing Happy Feet for a long time.
Yeah, I'm
so-
just saying that 6 months of the current fiscal year.
But there was a rate change.
There's a rate change in November, and so that'll be a different number there that will take.
Yeah. Do you have any idea what the first 6 months have been?
First 6 months, I want to say, well, we had budgeted 15,000. We were probably already at 8,000.
shows 74.50 here at the end of December, as long as they were all quoted rates.
So we've had conversations and there's opportunities for program expansion for that particular program.
You have the staff.
We believe we do. That is part of that conversation that we're having, in honesty, right? And so what does all that really truly look like? We have to run some better numbers now that we've got a few months with the higher rate. Again, some other program changes. Is it cost effective for us to maybe add another half day? We don't know. We're guessing so, but again, we want to run some of those numbers to see where that takes us. Again, there are no other places that offer the type of service that we offer with our foot clinic program. Some people will say, well, you can go to a salon and you can get it done. Yeah, you can, but it is not the same quality of care that is being done. And that makes a big difference when you're talking about people who don't have good vision, so they can't appropriately see how to cut their toenails. They have circulatory problems, so you have a nurse who is assessing that situation, making those referrals to podiatry or to the physician as necessary. So there's lots of things that we do that is not going to be done by non-trained medical people. Okay. And so the other thing, I talked about our homemaking program and that is actually also a moneymaker. Again, we do have the 7 people who are on the wait list. That is a program that continues to boom. That is a set fee and people are actually wanting more than just the 1 hour of service per week. They would like to have 2 hours a week or 2 hours twice a week. And so we're having to put our limits on what that looks like so that we're able to meet some of those needs. And we take, when people go off of, say, our home care aid program, we're able to shuffle and add more people into our homemaker program. So there's been some programming changes. Again, we're able to realize that with some of our different fee structures.
When people are on the homemaker program.
Have to get a team or so. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but there's about 15 people.
What kind of a fee is charged for the homemaking service?
Homemaking service is $50 an hour for the minimum of 1 hour. And so that fee structure also changed. That changed a while ago. And so we've been able to see some actual data. People are fine paying that fee. There's a few people that they're having to look elsewhere, having to get on some different waiver programs. And so we have just limited availability for waiver programs because it doesn't reimburse well. Okay. However, we do get phone calls from case managers from all of the Medicaid managed care organizations asking us, would we please come to this county or that county? Some of them have actually moved their clients to Winneshiek County to try to get them some services. But we have capped our availability for the waiver program people to 2 to 3 just because of reimbursement being so low. And that's at the state level. When I sat on a board, we talked about how Medicaid needed to be rebased every single year. It was initially for a few years and then that stopped. And so I'm not sure who needs to kind of take up the bag there and kind of take it to the legislators on that one.
So some of the homemaker fee reimbursed by Medicaid?
No,
No, it's all private.
Except
we do not get.
Except for the 2 to 3
2 to
people.
3 that are on the waiver program, and then
Okay, on the
then
waiver.
the reimbursement is less than what.
Yeah,
So
right.
that's why they limit those.
About break even.
So 15 hour includes the travel time. Or
In addition to travel time.
most of those.
So most of our people are here in town. There's a few people, there are outliers, of course. So what we are also doing, and we've always done this, is you monitor the mileage. So make sure that your visits are kind of stacked on top of each other. So you don't have somebody who maybe just starts in Decorah, then has to go, say, south, and then comes back to Decorah and goes north, you would lump all of those visits kind of together just to save on mileage.
How much was that fee raised?
It was $35, went up to $50.
Because I see that 109% of its projected income from that already, 6 months to go. So that is kind of a boost.
Still about half of what it cost us to run the plant. Plus, it's kind of approximately, we're closer to $100 an hour to run an operation. You figure everything in on it.
Does anyone have any questions for Krista on the budget part of it?
You made mention of the fact that you thought you could reduce space, and with the number of staff, what do you really think your space requirements are?
So because of the work that we do need the private offices. Okay, there's a lot of confidential conversations that do happen for all of our programs. And so, it's probably a difference in how much space we're really using. We've always been told that we have about 3,000 square feet. We make good use of all 3,000 square feet. I know that when community action came in and did some measurements, that square footage changed a little bit. And so I think that there's definitely 3, potentially 4 rooms that we're not making good use of at this point in time. Right now, it's just storing some things for us, like furniture that we can't get down to our storage unit because it's really cold in winter. And we're not the right people to be lifting it.
Yeah. Are they willing to reduce the rate if we reduce the number of rooms?
You
Did we have that conversation?
guys signed that lease, so I can't answer that question.
And I think that's a question we need to answer. So,
We know that the county has a space issue and there are space needs, current and upcoming. Hard to answer some of those questions.
Do you want to make any additional comment about the whole DHS building?
Sure. I know that one of the things that you were considering is what to do with the DHS building. I have driven by there. I've thought more about it. We've done the tour a few times. I think to bring it up to where it needs to work for a lot of people, you're gonna end up spending some dollars, right? We know that. And there may be some surprises along the way. I'm not so sure if that's the right place, okay? I know it's an
totally
asset.
agree with you, Chris.
I know it's,
Me too.
I know it's an asset, right? But I know that there's some other proposals that you have been approached with. It might be beneficial to take a look at that. Of course, I don't want to cut off my nose though either, because I want to make sure that our needs are being met too, based on the needs of the community saying too. And so finding space it's a challenge. I totally understand that. Things are happening at the state level that we thought were going to happen, that maybe they're not going to happen as quickly. And so that public health alignment is, the word of the year is stalled. And originally that was going to be forging ahead, and now that has been put on the back burner because of the Rural Health Transformation Grant. People that were working on public health alignment have transitioned to the Rural Health Transformation Grant. And the focus of that is to bring in physicians to rural areas and to address EMTs. Making sure that that's all out there. However, all that funding has not been released because there's been RFVs out there for who's going to manage some of that. So nothing is really being talked about with public health.
Is
It
that,
doesn't-
is that, excuse me, but is that rural health, is that the one being probably circulating through Iowa, University of Iowa, that the hospital has applied for?
Possibly, okay, so
Part of it.
this is the
Part of it.
$50 billion that will be coming to all the states.
Yeah. That's
So this is the first bill, and that's not even a billion, so 209 million have been allocated to Iowa already. So University of Iowa has put in application to be part of that.
Steve, you might know, but I know that the hospital board was pursuing that immediately when that became noticed. They were partnering with the University of Iowa. Yep, that's proceeding.
Yeah, that's still proceeding. There's other grant funding that's out there that was kind of part of it. And I know the hospital's looking at that for specific building and equipment needs. And so it'll be interesting. They've not released any EMS funding to date.
So you now have my 2 cents on the old DHS building, which is a change from what Sean and I had talked about earlier.
Okay.
Did you want to do anything with that resolution?
Yeah.
For the appropriation, I will do that.
Yeah, I'll move to accept that the resolution.
So basically, just to give you a quick, we were at about 350,000 of the 640,000 budget, talking about numbers. What you appropriated in June for starting July 1, that was 55% appropriated by percentage. So the direction was we were going to take that 350 and add whatever their revenue is. So Chris and I talked, we said it might end up being more than 150,000, but let's start with 150,000, maybe in April, May, when we're doing budget amendment, we can see if it's higher with these.
Because I've
fees.
informed the board, that's what it's gonna be,
Yeah.
net.
So now we went to 79% of their budget amount, so that's where that, it's just over 500,000. It's
The
coming.
Board of Health is okay with what,
Yeah.
the 500,000, so they'll have to make adjustments.
We'll have to do a budget, we'll have to do a budget amendment eventually, but this will give us time to figure out where those numbers are
We got a
going.
resolution number on that or no?
So
Just don't mind that.
Okay.
150.
150,
It's, well, the exact number, I don't know the exact, it's going to
79%.
Yes, 79%.
503.
504, 846.
Move to adopt the aforementioned resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the appropriation resolution for public health to a total of 79%. Is there any further discussion?
Since the Board of Health is aware of this and they've made their, everybody was fine with it, so
All right,
there was no,
let's see where
we'll have to, figure out where to go from there.
we're at. It is a resolution.
Aye.
Shirley?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
I also passes unanimously.
What are we paying rent a month?
$3,000 some odd dollars.
We're paying $9.25 per square foot per year. So take that times a square foot and then divide it by 12, how much it pays monthly. That's why it gets to be.
But it's.
Yeah, we can see on the expense.
37,000 a year, you said?
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
It
Rent
was-
is 3,079 and data information is 3,276.
Next up on the agenda is Jon Lubke, our GIS and IT Director, who is under the weather today.
I'll pass the budget around. He did send an email explaining quite a bit of it, so maybe you don't have questions, that might be good enough. Otherwise, we can try to get them in another week. So actually, you have it in your stack.
GIS.
John,
Yep.
online? Yeah, it's interesting. I got a couple of questions for John if we're on the amount of what we're planning on equipment changes for this year and how we are as far as aging out on some of our IT infrastructure.
Yeah, that would have to be something he would have to. Just looking over his budget on the GIS side, they added some money for what they call the Esri system or something like that. They're buying a little bit bigger package, but they're also added some revenue that the city of Decorah was going to go in with us to help pay for that. So they're going to get revenue back for that. That was what I knew about GIS.
Yeah, there's a Senate Bill 3008 that could affect that with a GIS function that ties into E911.
Okay.
And that could be another cost. So I'm wondering if John's considered that as a possibility.
And on the IT side, basically, the total amount is about the same. He moved it between some different lines, which ones are which. He's got, just FYI, he's got about 100,000, or he's got 100,000 in there for actual equipment.
But we've got a server, if something goes wrong, could eat that up
It's true.
real fast.
Yeah, and that's the same as last year,
Yeah.
100,000.
Yeah.
And we,
And this is not the Solutions AS400 server. That comes through data processing. That's a different budget than this.
And it looks like that 100,000 this year going through is about right on par.
Mhm.
Has he
53%.
talked any more about the issues with the phone system and a potential of a change there?
Yeah, well, Deb's coming in later when he's
Yeah.
feeling better.
Yeah.
You know, update.
Okay, we'll move on. Next up, we have a couple miscellaneous items. First off is to approve the CLG report.
So this is the CLG stands for Certified Local Government. It's the term that they give the Historic Preservation Commission. So our Historic Preservation Commission is the county's CLG agency. And so when they were here in December with their budget request, they had sent the CLG report electronically so you could review it and make sure you asked any questions or had any comments to change anything. And at this point, then it was just you approving that report so they can send it into the state.
Move to approve the report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the CLG report. Is there any further discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I,
Those opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. Next up, we have a memorandum of understanding for the recycling containers.
So these guys, Steve and Mark called it along with Jeff and Evan, worked out an agreement with the city of Decorah. The city's already approved this agreement. There's 2 copies so that we can have one and they can have one. Assuming you approve it, you can sign, I'll get one back to the city.
Yeah, and Andy Vandermont, county attorney, prepared the document along with John Anderson for the city.
It's 2 years is what we were asking for, and we kind of agreed upon it could be extended, or we could terminate that too if something changes, so.
They can too, or just us?
Both.
Either side.
Terminated.
They're,
Really,
they're,
could be 1 month then.
yeah, well, their long-term plan would take probably 3 to 4 years of plan.
Oh, okay.
And basically, this is kind of in the area where they were thinking about the new fire station, so they.
Yeah.
Well,
If
and
people,
housing.
yeah, what people will remember is the current location there on the is school property, and that is going to be utilized beginning perhaps next month. And so they wanted the containers out of there. So we worked with the city, and the property that's going to be used is the backside of the Armory building, which the government released back to the city. It's a fenced-in enclosure that is accessible off of the Goose Island Drive. And so the containers will be moved from there shortly into that location for the same level of service, but just a different place.
And the location we're using probably wouldn't be affected by the fire station itself if they built a new one.
Yeah.
The housing project is more.
And the good thing about that was it was originally the equipment yard that the military stored their heavy equipment and so forth on. So it's already been rocked and
Fenced.
fenced and all. And so
It should be compacted.
It's well compacted. They have some very, very large equipment back
And I
there.
see it's up to 10 recycling containers. How many were down at the other location?
I think
Well, they actually were 10,
9 or 10.
between 9 and 10, depending upon the season.
Okay.
And that could probably be amended. I'm sure there's
Yeah, if
space
we need
to
to.
do that if we want.
If people want to recycle more, we'll accommodate.
Someone like to take action?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the memorandum of understanding for the recycling containers for the city of Decorah. Is there any further discussion? If none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Next up, Steve Vanden, Brink, EMS. Funding request. Steve?
You should have received paperwork on our request for 10,000 like we did last year. For the EMS Association. Again, education is on essential service is one of the priorities for this year again. We've kind of laid off a little bit. There were a lot of fundamental askings for the area, and those have all passed. It'll be interesting what the new fiscal or new legislature has in mind of how that funding will continue or can continue. There are no currently in the 6-7 county area. Nobody's made EMS as an essential service yet. I know that Fayette County was given notice that they will be without an ambulance service in West Union unless there is considerable, if they use the words, considerable movement to making it an essential service. Otherwise, Gunderson is going to pull out as of September 1st and 3rd.
From their ambulance business or?
Correct.
The hospital.
The ambulance service. Yeah.
Steve, have you heard of anything that may happen in the legislature to help try to provide some funding for the EMS education component of recruiting?
No.
Ouch.
No. There's supposedly with the big beautiful bill, the 50 billion throughout the United States, the 209 million to Iowa. A portion of that is supposed to be for EMS, but that has not been released. We don't know what that RFP will look like. We don't have any idea. I was in on 2 work groups. One was looking at how can we better utilize EMS, looking at EMS more in a service of maybe a quick response. An ambulance might come a little bit later, doing similar activities as home care, home health, those type of things. But there's been no movement whatsoever on that.
Would you explain to the people what we're talking about as far as what this whole educational component means to the program and to the people?
So
Just so everyone knows, EMS, we're talking emergency medical services, it'd be like EMTs, emergency medical technicians, first responders, those type of people, just so you know who we're talking about here. We're throwing a lot of napkins out, so we try to make sure everyone knows.
We just take it for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. Well, yeah, we've been taken for granted for a long time. However, EMS, emergency medical services, provides and ensures that somebody's going to come to your aid when you're having a medical emergency and you dial 911. Okay? A prime example on how everything is to work is, I believe it was the first part of December or late November, there was a cardiac arrest in the city of Decorah. The gentleman collapsed. Somebody saw him collapse, started CPR. AED came from law enforcement, was applied, and the gentleman was talking to us in the ambulance on the way back to the hospital. That's how that's supposed to work. When nobody comes, when nobody answers, people die. And it's just that easy. And sadly, it happens all over the state of Iowa. One of the challenges we have is getting EMS into the high school and having routine classes that happen. So we have CNA classes that you hear happening, we're paying for those, you know, and immediately they have a job, they have an income. A lot of our EMS positions are volunteer. Get a slap on the back, thank you very much. And we've just taken almost as much time as a CNA, if not a little bit more. And that's what you have. The challenge is how do we incorporate some type of reimbursement to them? And we have, EMS has not been able to do that because it's been delivered voluntarily. So my son is in an EMT class right now. They started with, I believe, 8 people, and they're down to 5 of them. And that's the challenge. I talked with a paramedic program out of Hawkeye Community College. They have 12 students, and I want to say at least half of them are already in a job like Waterloo Fire, and there's 3 more that have jobs within healthcare, so they're getting it through their employer, getting paid. But again, you know, they can start with 23 people and put out 6.
And what is the tuition cost and how does that relate to trying to find volunteers that become certified?
So current tuition cost is right around $1,500 per person to take that EMT class. And then when you go into that paramedic level, normally you're going to be paid. So that's going to be in that $12,000 to $15,000. And I know some services are actually footing that bill, getting them in, being EMTs, having to go to class, pay that portion, but then, you know, they're a 2 to 5 year need to repay or be with that service for that time.
And just getting certified is half the battle. Maintaining your certification.
Correct. And then there's that whole process of making sure that they can pass that national exam, which Iowa has a less than stellar overall pass rate. So you have some programs that have 100% pass rate. And the other have other programs that have a 50% pass rate. But the thing that everybody talks about is if you take it once, it's the second time you took it, you're going to pass. You have a higher likelihood of passing it the second time if you fail it the first time. Nobody knows why that is happening.
How short are we on volunteers currently?
Currently, we are extremely short in the northern part of the county and in the southeast part of the county.
those two areas are served by only just a few people. Where we have the Southwind, Stillville, Calmer, Fort Atkinson, that area, that's my largest group with about 25, 26 people. Their EMR course is not being offered very much. That's about an 80-hour course. And you go out just like the EMT. The EMT is an employable position to where you're actually delivering patients to the hospital, putting them in the back of the ambulance, you're caring for them during their transport. And then you have the paramedic level, which is literally we can take nurses and put them in the back of the ambulance as long as they have that education and competency.
How is like the insurance, I mean, the liability insurance for, say, an EMT or the guys that do this?
So
How does that-
most EMS providers do not carry their own malpractice insurance. It's carried by the agency, and a lot of agencies don't even carry. I know I was contacted about a year ago, well, not even a year ago, because it was inadvertently missed the liability insurance on a area ambulance service that it's a county level, and they inadvertently had to come off their insurance coverage. So they were struggling with that, and I found out that as hospital-based, we're covered, but as a volunteer, we're really out there, and there's enough oversight with our medical oversight and with at least with me in the county that we know that our responders are appropriate. The challenge is if somebody was to roll their ankle, we're kind of yeah. That's the bigger challenge.
Do you have a question, Ellen?
Yeah. How many ambulances are in the county?
In Winneshiek County, there are 3 ambulances. They're all at the hospital.
All out of the hospital?
Yeah.
So the folks who are working down in the southeast corner of the county, they get in their car and drive to an emergency?
Yeah, most of our first responders will drive about 5 to maybe 7 miles from wherever they're at. And we encourage them to respond if they're in the core, but they live in Calmer, and it's, just a mile from where they're at. We want them to go. And our system is built that way so that everybody knows where the emergency is happening, and it's up to them if they can respond to it.
So that first responder gets there and the ambulance arrives.
Correct.
In a timely way from the hospital.
Yeah. Now, there are services, ambulance services that cover Bloomfield, including Castalia. And then they come over to about the middle of Madison Township, not quite, about W14 there. They come from Cresco, which has a quicker response. It's their fire territory as well. And then you have the county or the Harmony, Mabel, and Spring Grove that all come in about 2 miles as well. But if it's anything serious, our dispatch will send the paramedic out before us.
Steve, when you have a new EMT, what is the cost of providing them the gear they need to fulfill their position?
If I'm going to provide something to a volunteer to fulfill their position, we're going to look at about $4,000. By the time you put an AD, get the kits, again, the equipment they need, the requirements there, we're going to spend about $4,000.
And in a fair world, where would those funds come from?
I would love to be able to say we would get reimbursed from our transports. But we are horribly reimbursed. Medicare.
Or the state or the
Insurance.
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 Yep.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. Medicare reimburses an ALS ambulance, those paramedic level, I started an IV, I gave you some medication. I may charge you, over $1,000 for that. However, Medicare, so when we bill Medicare, they will only reimburse about $280.
And so $800 and change is just left out there.
Correct.
Oh, wow.
It's serious.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that information.
Yep.
Not
Have anything else for Steve?
I'm gonna go ahead and butt in. I've had my hand up for a while, but I don't think anybody's looking at that. Quick question, Steve. If somebody were to become a volunteer EMT with you, what would the typical week work look like? And if they want to take vacations, they let you know so they're not on call, or do they all just first come, first serve on the calls?
Volunteer wise, you volunteer your time when you're available. You do have to maintain your education, which is 12 hours every 2 years for the EMT. And so you got to maintain that. But as a volunteer, no, if you're on vacation, you're on vacation. If you're, at work and you can't leave, it is what it is.
So if there are 5 volunteers, like down in the Spillway area, and there's a call, do they all 5 respond just automatically, or do you know who's on call?
There is no call person for the volunteer services. So whoever can respond, they leave their job or leave their home and go to the scene.
It may be 5 and it may be 0.
Correct.
Yeah, because these are all volunteers.
Correct.
No.
The one thing I will state is there's a LoSAP program, which is length of service program that the fire service is really touting. There's $1.5 million, $1.3 million in that fund right now. They were hoping to do a 50-50 match up to was $500. EMS can do it as well, but I've not taken the time to get that. Plus, I would have to find the funding, and it would have to either be a city or a county government that does that funding. But most likely, that will not come down to being much more than $50 or $100 because of all the volunteer services that are putting that money in. So.
Board approved it. And this month's meeting is tabled at Calmer. Hasn't been brought up yet at Spillville or Redfield, to my knowledge.
Thank you, Steve.
All right. Thank you.
Next on the agenda, Jeff Kuboushek and Neubauer, County Recycling with your budget review. Good morning, guys.
Right.
It's all yours.
Okay. You want to start on the recycling side?
Yeah, that's fine.
Basically, we start on with like the part-time wages. We budgeted less for next year compared to what was budgeted. That was at 220 last year. This year we're at, so this next year will be 150. Non-payroll labor, that stays the same.
Go to page 2, then it's just the rest of that.
Building utilities down.
The next page would be fuels. That's at 25,000, and that will be the same. And that is also, that is a split. That's a split with recycling and rural waste. The minor vehicle parts, was 500, we just took that off of there. The apparel was the same. The mileage, did raise that $1,000 for the Evan with his education. We're kind of gonna be on the short side of that, so we would like to raise that 1,000.
And remember, we do, part of that is paid from the reimbursement we get from the landfill for recycling education. So I mean, this all falls within that grant amount besides.
Yeah, and that goes with the next item, also the education and training. And we did raise that from 2,500 to 5,000, but that is including $2,000 grant with that also. Utilities, we did lower that, over about $5,000, and a lot of that is attributed to the solar. That was a pretty good bill a month, and right now, our electric, is.
You might even be able to go last until you have
Yeah.
a year of
Right.
experience
Yeah.
with the solar panels. You want,
But we were at roughly $1,500-$1,600 a month. Now we're at,
69 or 72 bucks.
Under
Yeah.
$100.
so
Yeah.
so we thought we could drop that down, and like Ben said, you know,
Yeah, you're only at 5,500 for half the year already. I mean,
Right.
yeah.
the biggest one right now would be, with it being cold,
Cold,
would be
yeah.
our heat. Yeah.
Did you, is that air curtain or the
Yes,
installed?
Yep.
So that should help.
Yep.
Also.
You just put in a new insulation this past week too.
yeah, we did cover up them, there were voids in the north wall. So it was kind of good timing. We did that Friday, and now it's 10 below, so, but there was nothing. It was just basically the tint, so we got them patched in and taped in just on Friday, so, I think that helps some keep the heat in, so. That one was 5,000 less. The building repair and maintenance, we did, that was at 15. We would like to go raise that to 30. The reason being was that parking lot on the north part of the facility. We would like to tear some trees out and then add on to a culvert and put some more parking and possibly bins maybe down the road. That's why we did put an increase on that.
In other
And
words, the bins like you have in the general parking area could be relocated out there and open things up.
Yeah.
Save some
Yeah.
issues there with people coming into the container.
30,000 is pretty minimal when it comes to building repair and maintenance.
Yeah.
And we have some issues with that front canopy out there that, are you planning on trying to address?
Yeah,
this year?
that's in pretty tough shape. Like the boards are, it's kind of, you call it like a pergola, but all the boards are, it's,
Should be recycled.
yes, I
Recycled.
mean, they're basically all rotten. So, and on the next one, that would be the hazardous waste. We did raise that
no,
5,000.
you skipped a few.
Oh,
You're
did
up, you go up to the 30,000 miscellaneous repairs.
Okay, yep. The miscellaneous and that one, we left that the same.
That's like repairing paintings and
Yeah,
such.
Yeah, we have done some fairly significant maintenance issues this year, but we're probably still not to the point of being ready. Is that what you're indicating?
Yeah.
That's 30,000.
yeah, and we do have, we're gonna come and look at the baler tomorrow, do some maintenance on that. And like I said, that next one, we did raise that one. 5,000 for the hazardous that we send that to Floyd Mitchell. We've been getting a fair amount like that. And the miscellaneous expense, we did leave that the same. The next item, that $2,100, that's the same. That's basically for the DNR permit for the appliance for demanufacturing.
Yes. And it isn't one that you spend, it's one we
No.
just have to have that available if something happens. So we just each year
Correct.
put it in there and hope we don't have to spend it.
Correct.
If we cease doing the demanufacture completely, that's why that 2,100 is sitting there.
Yep. And the electronics disposal, we left that the same at 15. Motor vehicle, that one,
That one you can see it's blank next year, but we do have 85 in there for this year because we're planning to get that truck before the end of the fiscal year. So we'll have to get that amended in there because we have to split it between recycling and roadways.
Minus the trade, well, there's a trade-in value. of the truck too.
yep. And
We're
then-
kind of running behind, so it's okay if he's away.
Then the other one for other equipment, we did add some money in there. The only thing we were possibly looking at was a new skid steer, articulated loader, and possibly 2 new recycling bins. The loader has just under $6,500. That's a 2011 model. But that's why that amount, we had that, put that at 100, so that one we did raise that quite a bit from before it was at 30. And then the last one.
That's the last
Okay,
one.
yeah. So yeah, that's the last one for the recycling.
The next page they have is the recycling revenue, if you want to.
Okay, yeah.
Speak to that a little bit.
And that one there. At 68,000, that's from the solid waste agency. That is basically for Evans. That one will stay the same. The next one is the miscellaneous. And we put that at 20, we increased that to 30. And that basically is all the appliances and TVs that we get this year. We had,
That's what the customers pay to be able to recycle that.
so it's roughly 1,600 TVs and appliances that we're taking this year.
And just,
You got 82,000 this year already.
no, that, don't look at,
Don't look
what,
at
No,
don't
no.
look at those, that's getting corrected. So don't look at the,
Oh,
how much
that-
this year, some of that was supposed to be in the bottom line.
Oh,
That
was looking. I thought that was looking really good.
Yeah,
Well,
that fixed, but we are, I did, if you look there at the estimate, the 65,000 for this year, that includes, we're estimating at, I don't know, it's 25 or 30 of the appliance things, but then we
Sure.
have that
Yep.
grant for the solar.
Oh,
So we got that
solar,
money.
yes.
Oh,
Just
big part of that, yeah. 40,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's-
Oh, that's where
why
that
was
is.
Bigger.
Oh, okay. That explains that. What was the original cost in that?
135.
Yep.
I believe, and change.
Yeah.
And we got
We
40
got
back.
$40, just under
Just-
41,000.
So we have like a 10-year,
I think it was
10-year
a
payback on
30%
that. Yep,
grant.
roughly right at. It's
pretty
close. It's probably 10,000 a year we're gonna
I
save.
think it's, I think
And 10,000.
Yeah, I think I calculated out, I think it was about 9 years,
9
not
years.
between 9 and 10 years for the payback, so.
That's really good for. We're sitting out there in the open where we get better use out of this, because we got
Yeah.
down here in Upper Explorer land and theirs ain't quite as efficient, I don't think, as yours is out there.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
went from about a $1,500 electric bill at the peak to $70.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, so that's really good. Usually it's what, 15, 17. That's,
And then the sale of recycled, we left that the same. Hopefully markets will, it all drives on the markets, and right now markets are on the lower side. But like everything else, it gets down to your bottom and hopefully it'll turn around and start climbing the other way.
Well, it's pretty hard to predict.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you've offset some of that with some other creative recycling things that you have discovered in your seeking through, coming through the market.
Yeah, when we currently, I mean, we're always looking for the best bargain, kind of reach out to different buyers to see kind of what's the best price out there. So we do some looking. So
On the rural waste, I'll cover these employee ones quick, so they're gonna go part-time people to full-time, so the dollar amount is about the same, but the health insurance isn't in there, that's why. So it's blank right now, not because I haven't entered it in, it's because we won't have that one. Here, 'cause we won't
The
part-
full-time one won't.
There's no full-time, no health insurance, it'll just be part-time people, so that'll help make a huge difference.
we're thinking 2 people. I mean, just
Two
depends on
part-time.
customer interest, but hopefully we can get 5 or 2. And then that one with the fuels, we did go up just a little bit on the fuel was at 7 and we went to 10. And that's a split with.
But we need to clarify better what we did, what we suggested there was when we analyzed the amount of trucking utilized by rural waste that was being charged into recycling. What we did was come up with 30-some percent.
Yeah, there was 32%. We were guessing, I think the first few bills we split this year were 80-20 or 80-20. And then Steve went through with these guys and did more deeper analysis, and we decided to split them 32-78 or 68, more equitable based on our use. So that's why a few more of the expenses will end up here, but a few less will end up in
Yeah, we weren't really reconciling where the expense was going to. We were charging all of our full trucking costs was going to recycle, and we weren't allocating any of that back over into rural waste. And over 32% of our trucking mileage was rural waste.
So that's why we kind of redone some of those.
And by taking it in-house, we eliminated the outside contractor that significantly reduced those costs.
And then the next one was the motor vehicle parts and accessories. We left that the same. That was 24 basically. Then we took out the contract carriers on the next line. So the 24,000 would be part of that split with recycling. The other one was.
That's your
tipping fees. Yeah, and that one was just an increase of $1,500. And the miscellaneous expense, we raised that $3,500, from $1,500 to $5,000.
That's gonna be some of your things to do, right? Protective equipment or bright clothing or stuff for your monitors, and if they need a heater or whatever, type of things.
And then on the last one with the motor vehicle, we have nothing for this budget. And from last year, there was that line item of 175. So we, like Ben said, we will have to amend.
We'll lower it in this budget because we'll split that truck cost between recycling. So this budget is actually gonna, when we do the amend, it's gonna go down 135,000. But you're going up, whatever it was. 85. So you actually will net some going to trade.
Yeah,
but we gotta move the money to the right budget, so we can split it to 32, 60.
So we're at the 54,000.
54.
We were trading off at an opportune time.
And the total on it was with the net trade, it was like 123,580 was for the truck. So not terrible.
Of the cost of a nice pickup.
Yeah. That's all we have.
I have a quick question for you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just looking on the website, on the Winneshiek County.org website, and then going to your department website. I'm wondering if we couldn't put a button on our main webpage to direct people directly to the Winneshiek County Waste Reduction, that winneshiekwaste.com, so they can go immediately to where they can find what they can and can't recycle. Because you kind of have to do some digging as a customer on the webpage to get to it. It's kind of a treasure hunt in a way. And I'm wondering if there's a way we can get to it quicker for people if they don't know where to find winneshiekwaste.com.
You can work with IT.
Yeah, I think we could figure something out there. Yep.
That'd be
wanna-
great.
Take a moment and explain to people what it costs when they don't recycle correctly or when they decide to throw their trash in and so forth.
Good
Well,
point.
you could use the, the fee that we pay each month.
Yeah,
Garbage collection.
basically, but when we have to sort, and last week we had one bin that come in and it was supposed to be paper, and unfortunately, there was a lot of material. It took a couple of us probably close to an hour to sort everything out of there. There was paper, there was cans, there was plastic. I mean, it was almost to the point where we were gonna take the skid loader and shove it all to the sort line and then have it all go there, but we left it there and sorted it, but that's. The combo bin, part of it was close to full, but what they do is if it is full, then they don't take their recyclables back home. They want to get rid of it, so then they just throw it in the paper, and usually our paper 9 times out of 10 usually always has room, but they see it as, well, I'm gonna get rid of my stuff, and then it goes in there, and so and then it ends up going into the garbage, and then we pay, well, actually, everybody pays because it goes into the dumpsters, and then Malcolm takes that in the morning.
And I think you guys did a really good job of updating us at the landfill meeting with some of the things that were going on out of recycling, so. Thank you.
And speaking of that too, we're gonna implement weighing. We just had a discussion because we had a truck driver in. He was in Monday, then he was in Thursday for cardboard, and he just kind of voiced his concern that he had a little too much weight on. And that basically they've never weighed the cardboard bales before, always took an average. Well, you guys made a pretty good point, you know, like, you know what, so it's gonna be more weighing, but we're right there. So going forward, we got some signage that we'll put there for a couple rows, and I think that way the drivers know, because he had 46,000 pounds on and he's like, I don't want to haul that much, and we don't want him to get a ticket either, because then they're gonna turn around and probably charge us.
Yeah, you're gonna pay for it somehow.
So,
And if we're getting paid for less than we're
yeah,
producing,
that's
not good.
yeah, so we're gonna implement, we got a load going out today, and after that, we're starting to weigh everything.
At least for a while, figure out just for.
You know,
Okay.
so, yeah, that's.
But I guess if it works and they take it too much. time,
Yeah,
you're just-
I mean, it's not.
That way your trucks know exactly what they're getting, and
Basically,
there's just no.
we back straight up
Yeah.
from the cardboard baler right onto the scale, and we got the weights of the 3 forklifts. We got a tab, Evan created a tab on the computer already, and we just enter the weights in, and we got 2 rows for a load, and I think it'll work pretty good.
Yeah,
So,
that way you know exact, I mean.
yeah, peace of
That'd be
mind.
nice. Peace of mind that the trucker and Susan, and they don't have to worry. It's price and then if they get pulled, you know.
Have a question?
Yeah.
Soda cans, 5-cent redemption or aluminum, which is the better price tag in the market?
5 cents.
5 cents.
By all means.
Aluminum has gone up recently in price, and now it's about $1 per pound, but
You can sort those 5-cent deemables out and
we
get
do.
them into that market.
And before we did do that, and on average, it's probably I would say $2,500 a month extra that we've been generating.
So all of the citizens that are putting those in our recycle containers, it all pays off and they get recycled. We get both the recycling funds back and because of the arrangement they made, we get the aluminum also.
The ones that aren't redeemable.
And the ones
Yep.
that are redeemable, then we end up failing them and then sending them to a different buy. But yeah, it's a win-win.
And there's the plastics also that have the 5 cents.
Yeah, and we send them.
And we're sorting that.
Yep, absolutely.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yep, you got it.
Thank you.
Next up,
I think Tim will be really quick. Sorry, Tim.
No, you're good.
what's not your guys' fault?
No, I would.
I was actually gonna say, I can go pretty quick. If you want. If you don't wanna look at the full sheets there.
Really, it's only.
Just hit the one you changed.
I did the ones I changed, I added $250 for office supplies. Really, just because costs are going up, I wanna make sure if we kept it there, I can replace it. Added, like $1,400 for training, we got a new system that the DOT has put in for the whole state for driver's license and eventually for motor vehicle, so they're actually changing that completely. So I got $1,400 on added to, training for that. Added 1,700, so that I make sure that for myself, I can have the funds available to attend the spring and fall ISAC May school as well as October leadership. So that, because I don't think those funds were necessarily there in past years. So that I could actually attend all of them. And then there's a $6,000 increase on the for July and February property tax statements. That is a shift with her and actually just from the postage we did here in-house to an outsourcing company. The net cost is the same to the taxpayer. I think it was like maybe $500 difference between us doing it versus them, and I didn't even take into account all of our time and the envelopes and wear and tear on any of our. That was my total increases for expenses. I had at $9,350.
A question that I've asked sometimes is, why is it that someone who has a UTV has to go to the recorder's office on that motor vehicle instead of to the treasurer's office where they deal with all their other motor vehicles?
Because we register plate things through the DOT. That's what the, obviously difference in how the state has set things up. Currently, obviously, like you can drive an ATV on the road here, I understand that. That's just due to a city ordinance. You can't take that and go everywhere in the state of Iowa. Obviously, the state is plating something that you could drive anywhere on the roads here.
It's the state policy, DOT, Department of Transportation for motor vehicles. DNR, our Department of Natural Resources for boats, UTVs. And so that's a different state agency.
Even though they're titled and
they aren't plated.
they're not plated, but they're titled.
Yeah, title and registration for everything in office, so.
Yeah, but it's the state's determination of DNR is in charge of UTVs,
And who
which isn't what they're connected with. They're connected with the DOT, which is motor vehicles.
And who gets the funding?
Yeah, the funding is different, where the money goes.
But you could, we made a policy change.
No,
No,
they don't have access to the DNR system. That only requires that.
the state would have to change policy.
If the state would make UTVs through the DOT, then all those registration fees could go through the road fund like others. That isn't the way it is right now. That money is the DNR's money, so the money goes to a different place.
And I don't see them too willing to give up. any funding.
Yeah, that's right.
What a scam. Lance.
It's especially bad if you buy a boat with a trailer, because the
Right.
trailer's on the road, so that has to go to the treasurer's office, but the boat's in the recorder's office because it's a DNR thing, so you have to go 2 different places.
That's the one we get most often.
Yeah.
That's like really hard because the trailer touches the road, so that one gets titled and registered for. just registered it, kind of.
So to change that, it's a
State
talk to the legislators. Okay.
And I would guess
I've
that
seen a few
they,
votes on
they
it.
probably don't care as much as the DNR will have a,
Yeah.
they're the ones who will be against it, because they don't want to lose that revenue. That's what's
Yeah, but
gonna
it
tie
doesn't-
that down.
But it makes no sense to the people.
No, it
Having to
doesn't.
go to multiple offices within the
Yeah.
courthouse to
Yeah.
solve one transaction.
Yep,
Well, Steve, that's where we go back to common sense, isn't it? So,
Well, I would say, you know, people do come into our office, get their driver's license, get their motor vehicle registrations and property tax all paid in one office. We do 3 of those functions all
Yeah.
together. So. But, did you, more questions or you want me to just?
so go to the good news. You
Good
had
news on there.
9,000 increase
Yeah.
expense for your revenue.
I dropped $200 for tax sales fees just because it looks like not what we're getting. It's a minute amount anyway. I added, or took off $100 for civil penalty processing fees. Again, a minute amount. And I added 7,000 for motor vehicle registration and titling fees. So that was, it just is the trend that we're seeing and looking at it. You know, we're actually gonna be able to hit that number for next year, I believe. So I added 7,000 for motor vehicle registration and titling fees, and then I added 22,500 for interest on investments. And that using historical data, actually. Look at all that we've done in the past. Since 2018, and didn't use an online projection with the market rate fluctuation rate as to what we should be expecting in our to get on interest. Okay. That's for a total revenue increase of 29,200.
And that budget increase of 20,000.
Yeah. And then I actually added another 200,000. So fiscal year 26, I re-estimated the budget for an increase on interest revenue on that. So we actually did. The market did not come down as much as the interest market rate did not come down as much as we thought it would. Oh my, here's fine. And so I actually added that on, re-estimated for fiscal year 26, added 200,000 on that.
anyone have any other questions for Tim? Sir,
No, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
next up, Brian Huinker, Assured Partners.
Yeah.
Thank you for sitting there so patient.
Stay.
You're good.
Sure.
Yeah, you can sit up here too.
Now this to do this.
All right. Thanks for having me. Have they heard anything?
They have the premiums, so
Okay.
they kind of know the numbers, but they don't know where it's coming from.
Okay.
So if you want to.
Yep. So we received our renewal from Walmart, who's been our carrier for quite a number of years. We're at a tough year claims wise, 103% loss ratio. The target is 80 to 85%. Honestly, I mean, at the end of the day, the dust settled at 12.78% was their increase. I don't like to give the insurance company a lot of credit generally, but medical inflation or medical trend is 9 to 11%. So basically, if we had the exact same claims in 2026 as we had in 2025, you can expect 9 to 12 on the same number. So I was never loved to see a double digit, but after looking through the claims,
Only 3% over what?
3%.
What-
Expected.
yeah, so that actually is a positive. And Ben and Lynn and I talked about, do we want to look at some other options? You know, there's other companies. We're not married to Walmart. I wouldn't do it this year because we don't look.
Because of the bad claim
Claim
year.
year,
You'd
yeah.
rather do that when you have a good claim year.
And quite honestly, they give their commentary and they're generally conservative, but we went through a few
cases, and the fact that we're only getting that 13%, I think some of these things are one-time surgeries. And things that
They give us a list of the ones over certain dollar amounts, and like, one of them was one of my kids, and she's young, it was a one-time surgery, so that was just a 1-year blip.
Yep.
And so with her back surgery, I mean, that's something that won't be on the next year. So, I mean, those kinds of things help. And we actually, one thing I found interesting is our number of claims wasn't actually that much different. I mean, the number of claims we had.
The cost of the coin.
It's just that we had a few higher ones, and then just in general, everything, like Brian said, 9 to 10%. Every time you go, it costs that much more anyway, so.
Yeah, and our just for background info, our prior year loss ratio was 63%, and 2 years prior was right at 80. So I didn't really want to panic in that. Hopefully a one-time blip. Yeah.
And so we're looking at a 12% for the well-marked portion, but that's only a portion of our insurance. So the other portion of our monthly premium goes into our side fund, because we're buying that really high deductible from well-marked, and then we write it down to our lower deductible with using our side fund. If you remember right, last year we increased because our side fund was losing money. We've kind of stabilized that now, so we don't have to hit that with as big an increase. So we increased that of the $95 a month premium increase for a single. About 80 of it is going to pay the well-mark, and we're only putting 15 more into the side fund. So it actually nets out that our insurance premiums are at between 8 and 9% for what the total premium is going up. So that part makes it not quite as bad as it.
Yeah.
We don't have to hit 12% total premium increase. So we're looking at just under for a single. If you look at the charts here, there's next year and the current year, just under $100 a month increase for a single rate is what it's $95 a month for a single rate increase per person. And I think we talked to, and I talked with Brian about our idea about putting a one-time payment into the side fund. So I kind of planning that we should do that with some of the, not lower the supplemental rate as much as we could because of the 911 tower payment, and use a 1 year to put an extra 300,000 into the side fund just to stabilize that. But our monthly report, which Lynn just sent out on Friday, if you saw that, we've been sitting pretty gaining stable, just a few thousand each month. So I think we're looking pretty good on that side fund portion of it. I mean, Brian's dealing with the insurance company. I'm looking at trying to monitor that side fund. And I think if that's looking stable now, we just need to put a little money in there to get it up. So in case there's a bad year, we talked about, do we put it in bigger premium increase and put it into the side fund a little more each month? But then that makes it look like if we get the side fund healthy, then we lower the premium. That doesn't really make sense. So let's just do it as a one-time payment. So that's kind of what we're thinking about. And I'll calculate that. I'll show you that when we get to some of those last miscellaneous budget things that we'll look at, where I'll put that. Do you have the paperwork from Wellmark to sign if they run?
I do. I put some notes on it.
Oh,
So I don't know if I could send that over to you to sign at the next
We can
meeting.
put it on the next meeting
for the actual approval.
That's fine.
Yeah, we'll do that next meeting then.
I don't think they're too fond of me using whiteout on
Yeah.
official documents.
I'm sure it's been done.
Yeah.
Right, we have anything else for Brian?
You do is it that Reliance, is that the?
Yeah,
Is our critical illness.
critical illness.
Yep.
What percent of employees use that?
I warned them that you were gonna add that.
Yes, I don't have the data back yet, but I will get that and report on it, assuming they will share. I sent it into Ask.
Does it affect our rates? They use it or not?
No,
So,
Uh,
a lot of people are just leaving money on it.
Lynn had a good push, I think, at the end of the year in a reminder to use.
To use it.
Yeah,
I think there were quite a few employees that submitted for themselves and their children.
yeah. I mean, the goal would be kind of like we talked about back then, to increase that awareness and get your wellness stuff done if you can find something early on the blood draw. And it isn't enough of a.
And the savings that for our health insurance fund is that, I mean, if you get, we paid, what was it, 45 or 50 bucks a hospital per person's blood draw. Whereas if you had that done at your doctor's office, you were probably spending,
$350.
yeah.
Yeah,
50
that's a
bucks
real
for
savings.
each separate test, and there's, 10 tests in there. I mean, that's why it's a big savings for the county, even though we're paying $120 a person to have the program.
Yeah,
As a county, but I mean, the county paid $120 for me to be on the program. I did my blood draw here, so I got $100. And all three of my kids had wellness physicals, so I got $300 for them too. So I got $400 from them, even though you only paid $120 for that program, so.
Making money.
Yeah.
Well, I mean.
Yeah, so I came out ahead and you came out ahead, because if I would have had my blood draw done at the doctor's office, it would have cost several $100 more, so.
And that's a budget sign-up cycle, so if people wanted to add their spouse or something.
yeah.
In
July.
Yeah, we do open enrollment, and we start in May and have to have it
Yep.
finalized by the beginning of June or end of May so that we're ready for the next budget cycle. But yeah, you can add people or.
Yeah,
Because as long as people submit, it's a wash, basically a wash.
Yep. Yeah, on the spouse side, like and you got the additional coverage if something did happen, that you actually.
Yeah, the critical illness portion of it,
Yeah.
not just the wellness, yeah.
I think I probably said last year at the meeting, I'm not sure how their math works, because to me, it's like, why would they do that? But that's not
Yeah, that's right.
they're using our money throughout the year to make money, and they'll pay some back and they'll know that some won't.
Won't
But-
do it. Obviously, some won't do it because they can't,
Yeah,
like my situation.
Yeah,
Lost a lot of money on that one.
Yeah.
so.
and a lot of our folks have computers, or they have a human computer with Len to help them. But, there's some industries that they have this and they don't turn in. That's how the overall.
Because every employee that is an employee, actually, they always have it.
Yeah,
They didn't have to elect.
correct. Yep. And we'll continue to to promote, probably maybe at open enrollment or a couple times a year, like, did you have this done? It's pretty simple. Turn it in and you get $100.
I think the blood draw we did.
I think so too. I think next year we talk about, I mean, it costs a little more what we're kind of in a hurry to being our first year, but we could add like I still had to have my PSA checked when I went to the doctor. We could have added that in, but if the question is how many people need that versus is it worth paying for every blood test, every male's blood test to do a PSA if you.
And I don't
Only some
know
of them
if it's
do it.
required, if they can elect that, or if they can say, I.
That might be one that would have saved some more money if they would have done it rather than having the doctor.
Yeah.
And then the other ones are I think when the school does the same setup, they offer the COVID and flu vaccine at the same time, so would the county want to pay a little extra for the people who want to get their vaccine then rather than
Paying for
it sometime later? That's something we can talk about.
Yeah,
But those are some things that might be something to
The
consider.
previous employees, you elected to do PSA, additional charge or check for.
Oh, that might work too.
yeah.
And then it's reimbursed, obviously.
Yeah, the positive to that, and I am up to speed on this from my physical on Friday, is that there are a fair amount of
No one
faults.
asked about the
There are a fair amount of fault, like my doctor said, I haven't had one yet, but he's like, okay, you're now of the age, the risk is a lot of them come back concerning. He said, you go down a rabbit hole and have 20 other testing to the same spot, so they're pretty particular on who needs it.
Yeah.
To not.
And so maybe that's not one we want to add,
Yeah.
but I think it might be worthy to at least consider the flu and COVID or whatever vaccine,
Definitely.
adding that, because might as well pay the hospital, whatever it is, to have them do it while the person's here, rather than have to pay the pharmacy or somebody later to do it.
Yeah.
Be more
Yeah, you might
convenient.
want to do earlier because that flu shot
That's
earlier in the fall.
And I kind of looked at that because it was toward the end of the year and a lot of people had already had their physicals and got their deductibles, so.
That's true. That's why we put the
First of the year, so.
We put the blood draw until after the first year, because if you had already had your physical in the year,
Past year, you could. do-
yeah, then that would count, yeah, that would be the next one that you're covering.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you, Brian.
You bet. I'll get the clean copy.
we'll get some copies next week for actual approval.
You.
Next up, Tony Phillips, Plan Zoning and Floodplain Administrator. Looks like you got quite a few things going here.
We got a couple things.
Which one you want to start with?
Well, I put them in the order that they're on the agenda, so if that works for you, we have the public hearing for, was it Max Krivachek is doing requesting a zoning change outside of Fort Atkinson.
Got that penciled on the agenda for the 9th at, what time did I put on there, 10?
10 o'clock, yeah, February 9th at 10 o'clock. I move to approve the resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the resolution for set of public hearing for February 9th at 10 o'clock for the Kuboushek rezoning. Is there any further discussion? If none, Mark?
Aye.
Shirley?
Aye.
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Awesome. Passes unanimously. Next up, it looks like we have an appointment on the
Yep, so the Board of Adjustment has a vacancy on it from Steve Langland. We had an application from Kenny Ayler of Kelmer. You guys get that or not?
no.
You want copies of that or?
The thing is, it's only gonna be a 6-month appointment, basically.
Because Steve just passed away.
Yeah, so the current makeup of the Board of Adjustment was Steve's term was expiring in October of 26 anyway.
So this is
So-
just, this person is just serving through October.
Yeah, it's 10 months and then it'll be up for renewal.
I move to approve the appointment of Kenny Ayler, Board of Adjustment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to appoint Ken Ayler to the Board of Adjustment. Is there any further discussion?
Is that something you can scan and email to me, Tony?
I couldn't hear that.
You wanna, can you scan and email it to Shirley?
The application,
Yep.
correct,
Yep.
Shirley? You want a copy of the application?
I do.
Right
Okay.
now, or?
Well, I don't want to vote on it because I don't know who this person is or what their background is, so I'll just abstain from voting on it.
Well, if you'd like, I'll take a picture and send you a text, Shirley.
Perfect.
All right. So we'll come back to that one.
Thank you.
Your budget review.
All right, so the budget, same as last year, except for took off the return of building permit, I don't return building permits. And I increased the revenue. $1,000 increase on revenue. All right.
We can double check that I entered it right.
Sent that to you, Shirley.
Can I see that again, Ben?
I'm looking at it now.
Could I look, because I stopped and brought last night.
He's been putting in a lot of hours on planning and zoning.
Yeah. I think he used to be on the P and C and then he moved to the Board of Adjustment.
Yeah, he was on the P and Z when
He was original. Steve was original on the start of GNP.
Just for curiosity's sake, I'm trying to remember, was that late 80s or mid to late 80s when zoning was first adopted in there?
Mid-90s.
Mid-90s,
yeah.
okay. Couldn't remember for sure.
So really no changes then?
Nope, I took off one line item for a couple $100 and added $1,000 on revenue.
Wish they were all that simple, Tony.
What's that?
I wish they were all that simple. Do you need another file cabinet?
Not right now, no.
Do you have time to review that, Shirley?
I did, thank you.
Okay, do you mind? if I
And we'll
call
be,
you?
quick question. So in 10 months of October of 2026, that position will be open for other nominations as well. So this is a temporary.
Right, it'll be open for,
Yes.
for appointment.
Just like any
Got
other. Just
Got
like
it.
any other appointment to any other board.
And this was the only application we had.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I will call that to a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
I
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Next up.
Steve, thanks
Jon
for
Halverson,
sharing that.
Making superintendent with the budget review.
John will go so quick, you'll be back on your schedule here.
I didn't think that was gonna be possible.
I didn't change anything. I, just used the money I got in there. I did a lot this year. I got up on the 3rd floor. I got the big courtroom just about all done and the law library and then 2 offices. And I'd like to move over to the small courtroom and do the carpet replacement there. I'll see how my money is here as I go before July. My carpet is at least 30 years old. And even in here, this is getting worn down pretty good too. But we'll see how it goes with the money. For the new building down there, I've been, Chuck's wages has been coming out of mine, so. And the LP and stuff, so between there and here, it's $7,000 for heat line for the building, so. That's for
That's for the last month.
yeah, yep. There was 3, for Lion Energy, it was 2,000 for electricity on one building and 1,700 on the other. And Black Hills was $3,000 for the 2 buildings. But then the month before we had a lot, so it flex,
And days like today don't.
No, it stays on air conditioning.
Yeah, there you go.
So I, like I said, and then the parking lot out here, if you notice when you walk across, the cracks are getting big, so I like to crack seal that this summertime, We get water underneath there and then it freezes again, it'll pop it up and, there's always something that pops up and got.
Just out of curiosity, I haven't looked at the numbers. How do you think the heating at the new building is compared to what we used to pay at Smith Building?
Well,
Similar, or is it?
it's yes and no. I mean, the electric is cheaper than down there, but we had, maybe some window air conditioners too,
Yeah,
versus central there.
yeah. That's true.
Gas is a lot cheaper at the CVS.
Yeah,
They don't use hardly any gas.
no. So,
It's minimal. Yeah, they didn't hardly. Yeah, last month was.
so I guess
If you look at, yeah,
you got any,
down there.
Better insulated and
Yeah.
better constructed, I'm sure, than what.
Well, then you got some food pantry, all
Food
that,
pantry
so that
coolers.
heat pushes over.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
All their
I mean, it's.
coolers and freezers help heat the
Electric
building.
side, but they heat-
Benefits in the winter and
Yeah,
penalizes in the summer.
Yeah.
Well, and this year, John, we made, when we've had the announcement of our attorney not running again for our county attorney. So and his recommendation, we get a full-time attorney. So that means we have office space needs that we're going to need to create to be able to accommodate that, depending upon how the election goes. So that attorney plus his staff could be significant. So we may have some, out of your budget, we may have some significant costs that could be related to that, which are really unknown.
It might, what we talked about, it might mean fixing up in a couple more rooms in the old jail to move some people over there to create office space here or whatever it is. So.
Yep.
And I volunteered, although I haven't talked to you or whoever, but we're gonna, like the storage rooms over there, we might have to take the stuff upstairs or something so that those rooms could be used as actual offices.
Yeah, we might have to make, like that, handicap accessible.
Yeah.
I think it's up to.
No, it isn't up to, that's why that's why we might have to move like the IT people over here because they aren't getting visited by the public as much, and then have the room in here for the county attorney. We'll have to see.
It's
Lots to be discussed.
Yeah.
a lot of things that could happen down there. We have that are unknown until election time.
Yeah. So like the carpet is a painting in the small courtroom, I think be that much anyway.
That's pretty much going to take care of the third floor.
Pretty much. I might have a little office in the back that I gotta look, but I know this corner office back here, that carpet is back. But they have
On the third floor, is there one of those that's empty up in that northwest corner?
No, that's the Moon. It's got his coat back in there, and then there's I can't think of who moved into the old VA. We just had
We did put somebody in there, so.
Yeah.
I was just trying to think of empty spaces we have that we could,
Yeah,
there isn't
pretty
any
much.
on the third floor.
Not now.
We could consider that perhaps the second floor of the jail could house one of our departments.
Whatever we put up there won't have any customer.
It's got a lot of historic value.
I'm speaking of the old jail cells.
That could be unique.
Yes,
Not everybody could say. they go to
that's right.
jail.
That's right.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's where my money can go on for fixing it.
How about progress on the roof shingles? Have you been pursuing that?
I haven't talked to anybody yet on that, but the other day when we had that in-terrain, not a drop in the building. So what the,
The shingles themselves are compromised.
yeah.
And that was some sort of warranty. We need to. We're gonna do something, we need to do something beyond
Something's gonna happen.
limit.
Yep.
Anyone have anything else for John?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, Andy Vanden, County Attorney.
Good morning.
Morning, Andy. I just have one quick question here. Your thoughts on it are at least with Northeast Iowa Community Action on the public health space. Do you believe, or is there a possibility that we can reduce the amount of area? And would they be willing to reduce the asking price?
I think I think it's worth discussion with Trish over there, and I would suggest verifying what you actually are using. I don't know how much of a reduction it is, but that would be a information they're certainly going to ask, I guess. What's your need?
Do you have anything else for us? I seen you gave us the list with the salaries.
Yeah, I don't have anything else for you. I will try to get you a draft resolution so you have that if you decide to move forward with full-time versus part-time, and from there, you know, if you have questions about it, let me know. I think that's all I have.
And you said that has to be set by March 1, correct?
It has to be passed by March 1.
Okay.
If you're going to do it.
Andy, on that info you sent us, it talks about A or B or C, if they were full-time and no private practice or private practice or so forth. Do you think that actual do you think there's enough of an influence there to restrict any private practice legal work being done by the county attorney, or is that a non-issue because of the workload?
If you make it a full-time position, the county attorney cannot have a private practice. Workload or no workload, you're saying you're working full-time for us.
I think the difference between A and B was the county mandated it, or it was without mandate, they were full-time.
So they can't moonlight.
That's my interpretation. If you're
Yeah.
setting it up as a full-time job.
A and B, they're both full-time.
Which is exactly why you have to do it before March 1st, because candidate filing begins in March. And who's interested in the position might vary depending on if they can have a private practice or not. And so you might have people more interested in a full-time position than a part-time, just because then that would be the full-time position, whereas you might have people that have a current practice and might be willing to take it on. So that's why you just need to decide before that happens.
Do you have any preference, Andy? Or do you think any one is stronger than the other in your mind in recruiting?
I don't know about recruiting so much as I think the time has come, just given the workload of that office and the shortage, shall we say, of candidates for assistant county attorney. I mean, what I'm seeing is, and I'm hearing this from other counties as well, is that there just isn't a response to getting attorneys hired in rural areas. And prosecution is one of those areas that's suffering because of that. I think that I think there is value to making it full-time, just to make sure that you have somebody to provide the services as best they can for the county. And if they need to recruit out of a law firm to get an assistant somewhere, you know, they may do that just on a part-time basis, but I think it's come time to make it full-time. I
have a question, Andy. If the county attorney is a full-time county attorney and they can't recruit a part-time or a assistant county attorney, can you, like you were kind of saying there, can they hire another law firm to cover, like when they're on vacation or that kind of thing? Or how does that work? Or do they have to be an official?
They can hire a firm to provide some coverage, but typically they would hire an attorney within a firm to serve as an assistant county attorney. They would need to be sworn in. They need to have their, everything lined up just like, we do now in order to appear in court for, on behalf of the state.
So being a full-time county attorney doesn't preclude having an assistant county attorney that also has private practice.
Correct.
That's only the county attorney that is restricted. So I didn't know how that works. So if they can't find one person willing to be their main assistant and they need to have a couple of other assistants that cover now and then, they could do it that way. And those people still have private practice, so they cover it that way. Okay.
I believe that if we are going to go the route of full-time, we should probably get the wages set earlier and then waiting to the last minute. That way gives people a little bit more time to know that we're hiring full-time, look at what we're willing to offer, whether they want to sign up.
So if Andy sends
And
that.
actually, in the resolution, if you decide to go that route, you have to put in what the salary would be come January 1.
So if he gets that draft sent out in the next week or two, maybe by second week of February, you'd be ready to.
Well, I think we'd want to get it done.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we still have one more. We might even be able to do it by the first Monday in February. You could be ready to take action if that's what you decide to do with a dollar amount in there, because Andy's already provided the numbers for you to look at.
Yeah.
And gets the draft resolution sent out. That'll give you time to be ready to.
Okay. Anyone have anything else for Andy?
Oh, I have one question, Andy. If it was full-time and and the person who was elected into the office, are they then going to be, is it a given that they will be housed in county space, or can they, if they're partner in an existing law firm, can they continue to operate there?
Well, they wouldn't be able to practice with an existing law firm if they're full-time. So they wouldn't,
They wouldn't be able to be as a partner, but we could rent office space for them in another building if that's a law firm or a office building, whatever. They just couldn't be practicing there.
That's correct.
I mean, we could rent space on the third floor of the Smith building for them if public health didn't want to use it.
I don't think that you're gonna have a very happy attorney.
No, I don't think so either. I'm just saying that you were talking about space to get rid of.
A lot of pushback on that.
Okay.
Here again, there is the old jail cells.
And I think what we'll probably need, because the county attorney needs to be easily accessible to you and to the other offices, that there's gonna just have to be some shifting, whether it's some of the other offices that are currently in the courthouse will need to go to some of these other spaces or whatever. We'll have to figure that out when we get to that point.
All right.
Whether it's at the community service building or into this building or whatever, we'll have to see who goes where and where we can house it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Andy.
Thank you. I'll talk to you later.
Next up, Michael Kueny, the county engineer. Good morning. Right?
Dan.
Maybe Michael and his staff will want to move off site and then.
I can tell you, we were very happy where we're at. It's very convenient.
Open up some more offices.
So we'll take that as a no.
I'm not inclined to. It has come to my attention a couple of times now.
We won't take that into consideration. I mean,
Here to do the board's bidding, but I can tell you my opinion. couple of things. Just go through this. No longer a finalist build grant. The 2026 build grant, we are pushing forward. Look for requests to fill out letters of support this week. I need to get those in by next week. So I'll be working on that pretty steadily throughout the week. Remember the Flat Power Bridge Study Coordination. I talked with our bridge inspector. He will be working on that this week. There's nothing really new to report this week. Subdivision data. We're still mulling decision on the subdivision work. There's a lot of potential smaller projects. One of the projects that we're looking at doing is this W40 Autoseal project. Included in that is the section east of North Wind Road on A14. This is kind of where we're at with it at the current time. Nothing to vote on. I wanted to bring that in front of the board here because what we are mulling internally is whether or not to apply a fog seal after the Autoseal. We're looking at $40,000 to $60,000 for the fog seal. What that would do is it would reduce the amount of dust complaints on this road. The section north of A14 is the busiest portion, coming and going from Fillmore County. It's an option. If we were to do that, it might change. I'd probably try to put that in the 2027 budget. If we don't, there's a chance that we can put that in the 2026 budget and the amended budget. So just if you have thoughts on one or the other, I'm here to take them.
The city did the fog seal there.
On the Locust Road, yep. And then
Yes.
correct.
It really was a nice reduction. There wasn't a nice.
There is no.
What's the extra cost on that?
We're looking at 40 to 60 and just because we haven't done one in a while and we would just get estimates from Farners, Denko, Aztec, there's a lot of people can do the fog seal is my understanding. So we would be sending out the estimate and it would be separate from the letting that we intend to do here. But if we were to do that, we would probably push that project back a little bit.
Did Denko do the cities? Or?
No, that was not Denko. We work a lot. Denko does a lot more work with the counties.
I was gonna say they came back, they moved everything off and sealed it the next day, basically.
Yeah, and that would reduce complaints. Yeah, well, it would still be worked in, but it would have a kind of a protective layer in the interim, and Fillmore County has done it. They presented me with their plans that they did on a fog seal. So this is a pretty common operation, and then the city of Decorah has done it where they've done a chip seal and then topped it with a fog seal.
How much is the estimate for the initial part of that?
This is rough. It's hard to know exactly because we got such a good price last year, but it's a little bit less road than B32. So I've got in my preliminary budget $250,000. But that's kind of, they're kind of your roads. I don't know, you guys got a lot of complaints as well as the office did too. So it's kind of, that's why I'm kind of trying to feel you out on this a little bit.
So it's an additional 20%.
That's what we're.
Well, it just seemed like when they did it here, maybe it held the
Chips
chips in place more too, so it instead of making a track down, you know, the tire track down through it.
Yeah.
It helps hold the chips just a little bit more.
I
Product.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have, not being in this business for a whole long time, I kind of wonder how it does.
Be interesting to try a stretch to see.
Well, that's the thing, we could fog seal just the busiest portions.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do any number of things because those would be local funds and not, and they're all maintenance, all less than $100,000 type of thing on the fog seal.
Since it's been so long since you've done one, it seems like a good idea to at least do a portion of it, just to see if it's something to do again.
Just looking at the street here, I mean, it ain't a lot of heavy traffic, but still, you got them cars, there's usually a trail.
A lot of semis on it.
Yeah, car track, you know, it just seemed like it, maybe a whole lot.
So I'll take that as being interested and.
Yeah.
And I would,
Definitely.
Because right now, B32 in the South County is commonly referred to as Winneshiek County's newest gravel road.
well, it's not that anymore though. Now, it might have been there for a little bit.
That was the
Oh, it
number
is.
one complaint.
Yep, I sure
still
was.
get it. I still hear it, and it's not too loose. I drive it probably once a week,
Mhm.
portions of it.
Yeah.
Didn't have plenty to Canoe Ridge was, for a couple of weeks, it was dusty beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, it would still have dust for a couple of weeks because you would let it sit, to work the
Yeah,
surface.
you don't want to put the fog seal on before the auto seal.
The
is time
timing,
bound.
I'd be consulting with other engineers as to what the timing on that is exactly. So you will still have the dust complaints to some extent, but you would have your
This-
back pocket saying,
I think
we are
it's
going to address
not the
that.
same as this, because this was just a chip seal, whereas your auto seal is like a thicker thing that needs to set in.
Yeah, I don't know that matters in this case. With the exception that the auto seal is inherently more dusty. So it is a common practice. So I'm just bringing that up. If you want to think about it and get back to me on that, please.
Yeah, I'd be.
Definitely look into it.
Look into it.
In this case, we're using the same aggregate.
Yeah, we're still using the aggregate that was crushed first.
The auto seal portion is the same.
Right.
No matter what. It's
Correct.
just, do we want to do this extra?
This extra, just trying to keep the public feeling good that we're not ignoring the dust. Kind of a
A
thing.
couple of the rainstorms would change that though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We had a couple of good downpours.
yeah,
There's no sense in fogs.
Yeah.
That's hard. Is that counting on the rain when you don't want it to, for the other, the whole rest of the county's construction is kind of, too many goals there. So I
think the message you take is they're interested, whether it's the whole stretch or a portion that you think is the best one, to at least try it again.
Well, I can tell you the A14 and then the W40 north of A14 is the busiest.
Yeah.
So at least do that portion and
So,
try it out and see what the results are.
yeah,
Or if you get the bid and it's like, well, we're mobilizing to do that portion, and it's not that much less than to do the whole thing, maybe you.
Yeah, as long as they're doing it.
we'll do some more work on that, but that was been floated, maybe just a week before last week. Anyways, that's being discussed. I wanted to bring that to your attention. We have plans basically effective that we could we just don't know timing of it. I was gonna want to try to push this earlier, but the fog seal is enough of maybe an added expense that I can get back. So
Fillmore County is doing it.
they did it once.
They've done it once.
Okay.
Have you talked to Daryl Schmidt to see what he has to say about it?
Not Daryl, blanking on the engineer's name there, Ron. Last name I can't. Anyway, I have, he's the one that kind of clued me into this last year, so.
Yeah, Daryl's pretty much really boots on the ground.
Yep, and he would be, I would talk to him about this. So. Anyway, I just bring that up because that's stuff that is going on this week. We had a employee who was retiring, so we're gonna have a position, it's looking like Ridgeway will be the location ultimately that we hire for. Right now, we're doing the musical chairs internally until what we anticipate being the Ridgeway position being open. So.
What do you know on that?
Well, we know that one of the guys is going, in the Fort Shop is going from blade to truck, and then we've got a week to fill that leftover blade position, and after that, presumably the person from Ridgeway is going over to that blade position, and then after that's confirmed, we'll be putting that out.
Each of those internal transfers get a week to before we go to the public. So that's why each one, then you got to do the next one, they got to do the next one, so that they quit shuffling internally. And then you'll know.
So that's going on this week.
You have about 4 employees that are in that same range of age and a number of years with the county?
We have, I don't know how many, but yes, it's on that. I don't know how many, I haven't done that analysis, but you're right, yes.
It's pretty high.
Yeah, we'll have lots of openings in the next year. We've had a lot of openings this past year, so it's God bless my superintendent. So yeah, he's making it work. So that's in the docket, so we'll see that come through. Dan, I gave you the union contract that was given to me on Friday of last week, the new floater position. Just needs your signature on there. We kind of docket, so we'll see that come through. Dan, I gave you the union contract that was given to me on Friday of last week, the new floater position. Just needs your signature on there. We kind of talked about that. It's not a resolution that we needed to do, but that's the negotiation that.
I would motion that since you're actually changing the union contract, so.
Okay.
So approve the union contract amendment to add the floater.
Motion to approve the union contract. Can we do it without it being on the agenda, or?
Yeah, that was my concern. So I got
that road update.
Yes.
Does it say approval of?
that.
Well, it probably wouldn't be an issue to put it on next week's agenda, would it?
Not an issue on my part.
Then that's better. If you needed it this week, I mean, it's not controversial.
It's not controversial.
They've already agreed to it, so.
They've agreed to it, and we've talked about it going better.
Let's just
do it.
Let's do it by the book and nice and slow. That's fine. Friday, I was hit up by Titan Machinery. They have a loader that they are trying to offload. It is I believe it's a 2021, 3,000 hours. They're looking at selling this for $120,000. That is a really good price.
What are they doing?
This machine that Darren, or excuse me, the superintendent, was looking at 280,000. So yeah, I always pencil in 250 for a loader. So just off without catching bids, you're looking at 280, and so kind of looking for the blessing of the board to say, make a decision on this one, because I have a conference call here in a couple of minutes to talk about what it is and set up
How many dollars are on that?
about 3,000.
That's coming out of the construction.
Are you going on then, or?
What's that? We sold a loader, got solar loader to buy and got a really good price on it. But we didn't replace the one in Kindleville, so what we're using in Kindleville is the track loader. So the idea would be either we play musical chairs with the loader and Austin and move that to Kindleville and send that to Austin, or just send that to Kindleville. That's gonna be let my people figure out what they think's best on that one. But
What are the tires on it?
I think the tires,
Pretty decent.
the tires on that, they show have good tread on.
It's got 3,000 hours. They'd be new at one time. That's not too far along.
Yeah, no, they've got, I just got the one picture here. They have about 25 pictures on it. It looks good. The concern that I've heard through the grapevine on maintenance foreman is that it might have been used for
Didn't get very far.
for fertilizer and things like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that you can see the most rust you see anything is on the actual bucket there.
Yeah.
But
if we know where it come from, that'll answer if we use it for.
But
So I think Michael's asking for your blessing, not definitely that they're gonna buy it, but if they go to look at it and decide that they wanna get it, that you're okay with it.
yeah, we're looking at heading down to that. I think it's Waverly that we'd be heading down perhaps this
Lenny's
week.
going down with you.
I don't even know if that I'd be going, but it'd be Lenny and Darren probably. So it would be two people.
I would say, but if it came from a co-op, they use for fertilizer, I'd stay away from it.
That way I'd be a little leery too, but
Yeah.
between those two looking at it, they should be.
Yeah, they
to
should be
make a
able to,
judgment call.
yeah.
So, yeah, that's the concern that they posed to me. I'm just, like I said, I see the price, I see how much, I mean, this loader is gonna last,
And using a track loader is not the
Nah,
most
that's not-
practical
no.
way to go about it.
but it's in Kendallville, so I mean, there's
I
almost no,
No cement or whatever around.
well, and it's also. It's
Well,
just
they're
not,
smaller
Yeah.
shops, but yeah, you could
Yeah.
move your worst loader that you currently have there and then.
that would be
replace
the
it.
idea. So we just didn't, we really want to get our maintainer fleet up to date, and 120,000 is not, I mean, 250,000 is all of a sudden, that's a half of a loader or half of a blade, whereas this is only basically a quarter of a blade. And so.
And one less piece of equipment you're gonna have to upgrade down the road.
In theory, yes. I guess just, if it has the fertilizer on it, the idea is that you think it would be, because the underneath pictures of it don't seem to be nearly as corroded as the bucket.
Yeah, otherwise you're gonna get it up in the wheel bearings and stuff.
Yeah, they have pictures of the wheel bearing, so I could just forward you the whole email.
Yeah, I mean, if they haven't been repainted.
Yeah,
So if it's been repainted, then
it doesn't look like it's been repainted.
if it hasn't, then you should be able to notice it.
Okay.
But if it's been repainted, yeah, I'd be really curious.
Especially being that new.
That new, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's just.
Well, even if they know where it come from, just ask.
Yeah, well, and that, I know that's a question that Lenny wants
If
to
they came
ask.
from the co-op, yeah, it's slowly fertilizer.
So.
If it hasn't.
Okay.
Then it's.
Okay, I'll share like I said, it got sent on Friday. I'll share that email with the board then, so you can look for that.
Yeah.
email.
Lenny and Darren looking at it, that's pretty good.
Sounds like the consensus of the board is they can make a call based
Yep.
on their.
It's a decent, yeah, been well maintained.
Trucks were sent out on Saturday morning and Sunday afternoon this weekend, so a little bit overtime. Just keep me up to date. Quarry Hill, met with county attorney this past week. Just kind of to ice over the city and the Bruning's interest. I think the way we're gonna approach this is that the county is gonna front the purchase of all land and keep it divided up in into the lots that currently exist, and then redole out the right of way as it's intended to, depending on how the shape of the road comes out. Initially, we were talking about having the city, purchase first from Brunings, and the paperwork on that was just kind of sloppy. So the easiest thing to do is just to buy the county to buy everything that's possible, and then build out the lots accordingly, according to the intention of this memorandum of understanding. So work has been done on that this past week, and we'll come up with an agreement and send it over to Brunings and the city to chew on shortly. We had a Upper Explorerland meeting on Thursday. I think it was Thursday. Nothing much to report there. The Howard County is going to be getting the STBG. They're due for the grant. I will be trying to put our own application in. I'm looking right now. Currently, I'm just trying to put on our map W14 north of Ridgeway. The STBG funding is the only way to get big dollar amounts that are non-see-through, a whole bunch of just a way to get the right projects. That road is a road where you have differential heave all over the place. It's got a concrete underlay, or it's concrete on soil, it's the original pavement. And then it's overlaid with asphalt, and there's nothing to really correct that heave. So we're talking big dollars to actually correct that problem. So in my mind, if we got to use the money as a regional major collector, that kills Middle Calmer Road from being considered for this grant. So in my mind, the next best option would be going down this road, trying to really solve the problem on that road. So we won't be getting it this year, most likely. That's something that I can apply for every year, and then when it's our turn, we should be able to get it done. So that's kind of where I'm going with that grant funding, but we're talking construction year 2035. So it's a ways away. Just
exaggeration, but it'll be a few years.
Yeah, it'll be a few years. But I wanted to bring that up because that'll, unless you can think of another road,
it's pretty restricted which ones fall into the category for that.
It is, and most of the other ones,
was pole line was maybe on there, but we did that not that long ago.
Correct. Pole line, we have W46, we have 350th. 350th doesn't get near the traffic. It used to get, the 350th would be another candidate where you want to look at sub drains and getting something a little more robust in place, but patching it as we have been, maintenance costs per year. If we do what we're doing right now, after what we're doing, it makes the economics of doing something like this for 350th not look real good. So I just trying to apply the funds most usefully, I think, this is the target, not necessarily this is the one that I most want to get done.
When would W46 be coming on the plane?
I don't even have it on my radar, to be honest. That's why I'm talking this out with you, to be quite honest, is because we have W42 south of Austin. That's gonna be, that's gonna be blowing up here shortly. And then Centennial Road south of Sand. That's not,
Actually, yeah.
yeah, there's all kinds of roads here, and I'm just trying to put the right funds to the right paving project, and we're gonna always have troubles with W14 North because we have differential settlement issues, we have all kinds of things.
This really bad thing about that one is that one isn't as old as some of those other ones.
That is correct.
But they didn't correct the underlying issue before we last put an overlay on it, and so it just heaved it up. Because that's been overlaid since I've been auditor, I think.
It has, and the thing is I just don't want to, if we don't use the STBG funds for this project, we're going to be running into similar types of trying to fix the problem. And I'm trying to kind of avoid that is where my head goes.
It needs to be, you need to do it right, because if you just put an overlay again, we'll be back here in another 10 years.
Yeah, that's my concern. And when you say do it right, I don't want to pound the table and say this is going to be done right. I don't know. Road projects are always funny like that, but at least give it as good an effort as we can to get it done right.
We gotta get either the Ocean Blacktop or Middle Kilmer. One of the two's gotta be done.
But this
Ocean Blacktop ours in 2028. Yeah, that's in 2028.
Yeah.
And the Middle Calmer doesn't qualify for this funding, so.
Yeah, and Middle Calmer,
that's the problem with that.
Again, I keep coming back to Middle Calmer being, it doesn't move, it's not moving, but as a big picture, we're looking at possibly doing a 2-inch overlay on that as a breaker, a bond breaker, and then 20 years from now, get the concrete overlay that we want on it. But that's the kind of pie in the sky that I kind of have to deal with on that.
This W4, is there any way a couple of them spots, guy could dig them out and try something with them? 814 north of Ridgeway.
Oh,
is there any way, there's a couple, there's guys that break a lot of equipment on that road. Especially if you got your hired man coming down, he doesn't know it's there. They're snapping hitches and axles.
Yeah,
is there any way at least take a couple of them real bad, try something?
That's what when I say the roads department tried to do, I want to say 5 years ago. And when I keep talking about differential settlement, what happened was you dig them out, you put something new in, and the new stuff that we have changes how it heaves relative to what's right next to it. And that's where pulling back and starting all over.
It's the only way to fix it. Is to go underneath and.
That's so pricey.
The whole base.
It's real pricey to do that, and that's why I'm targeting these funds for that in a couple of years when it's Winneshiek County's turn again.
That one's something, there's a lot of equipment.
So.
Do not drive road.
What they did, that little tile I put alongside the road before, that was a waste of money because it only went down so far.
It went down 2 feet, is what the
that
plan
wasn't down deep enough to get down to where the problem is.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. You gotta go down good four to.
Well, frost line 7 feet, and they dug out some stories I've been here at 8 feet to put granular material in, and it didn't.
They did 9 that time. They did Highway 9. That worked really good. I don't know how far down it went, but they did 9. That was back in the 90s.
Okay.
They tiled both sides of that.
Yeah, they tiled in these problem areas, both sides of W14, but
I don't think they went down deep enough to get down to where the water should have.
yeah, the idea is just to shed the water away so that it doesn't just accumulate. But again,
then there's water underneath the.
Yeah, I
Underneath
don't,
the road, that's where the.
that was outside of my time.
Yeah, I know.
It's
Yeah,
built in
that
a
was-
swamp, that's what.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing actually is that the whole first road that was there, they never put a good base in
They
it.
they didn't put a good base, and even
And
if they would have put a good
so-
base,
And so it's mostly soil, like you said, it's a
it's concrete. and
concrete
soil.
on soil where they should have had dug it out more and put in a base to.
Even if they would have done the base though, as much as that moves, they would have needed, I think that they'll need a sub drain. I think that, I mean, even, I don't wanna knock the previous, efforts. But I think that as much as that moves, that we're looking at a sub drain, which is outside of what standard practice was at the time.
Because when I did, first it was wet and they dug all the spots, I had to put rock in there, so now you get dirt and rock, well, the rock's gonna sit there, the dirt's gonna go up and rock's sitting down, they ain't working together. So working against each other, then.
Yeah,
Then it's.
So that's what Michael's trying to say, is that's of the ones that qualify for this funding, that seems to be the highest priority to him, and if that's okay, that's what he's gonna pursue.
Yeah, it's highest priority unless you have, I mean, you hear from the public, as much as I do, and I'm trying to use you guys as a sounding board.
I forget where I was the other day, but somebody brought up that is, I mean, this person was, affiliated with the county or nothing, but they said that's the worst road in the county.
W14 is?
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, for that, because there's a lot of, for them really bad spots.
I'll say this, I think W42 is the worst one right now, but we've got that one solved.
I mean, but it's a flip of the coin.
So it's just driving W42 the other day, oh my gosh, I don't know if we're gonna make it.
Well, let's just put it this way, there's a lot of times I do not take that road coming to the core. I will take the sand and the Centennial.
Yeah.
It's a little bit farther, but wow.
Everybody flips the coin whether they're gonna take W42 or Middle Calmer Road.
It's not, it's just, we should.
I know. Oh, you gotta flip a coin, which one's the.
You want to venture or not, unfortunately, I don't, then. The idea here though is to tackle, some of the, Middle Calmer Road is use some FM money on that. Is, because I don't want to abandon the efforts to go towards that. So how that fits in with the FM account, it's going to be a big chunk, and we have W20
hamburger steak today?
Or 5-year
Hamburger
plan.
steak today?
And
You want to mute? Please?
Yeah, send Karen Sluter to DOT.
So then, as long as we're on it, the policy, but they're gonna do the flashing light at Madison and 52 there.
Madison,
Well, probably sometime, it'll probably be calendar year 2027. It'll be 27, yeah, but physically, it'll probably won't be.
that'll be a DOT project.
Yeah, it's a DOT, yeah, but as long as we're talking about.
Yep, thank you for the information.
Flashing, approaching, traffic. Approaching lights.
And is it just on the west side there, or are they gonna put it on both sides?
I'm
From the
not
camp
sure how
around?
well I said flash, I imagine it'll be.
Should
both.
likely both sides, but
I imagine they're.
the real problem in terms of visibility is on the, coming out of the quarry there, not the,
Yeah,
so,
yeah, they just said they're gonna put lights whether out there.
sure.
It's for.
Any,
Physical 2020.
they didn't mention anything, like regrading the road or anything?
No, not like that.
Yeah. Cause you're kind of stuck there at the stop sign there in a weird spot.
No, they're just gonna put lights up.
And that's,
Physical, well, it's
are they,
20, it'll probably won't be, Aaron said till calendar year 27 spring.
Sure.
So it's in 27 budget, but that starts July.
is there warnings on 52 then as well?
There'll be warnings on, yeah,
So they can,
correct.
because that's what they had talked about
Yeah,
this year ago.
yeah, it's gonna be traffic approaching lights,
Okay.
flashing.
flashing traffic.
I'm glad that the DOT's doing that.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend the money on flashing lights. So, I think that's all I have. And then,
That's enough.
budget.
Next week, we're hoping, because the agenda isn't nearly as long as this week. So next week, I'm hoping to get a bigger block of time for Michael to go through his budget and 5-year plan stuff.
Yeah, okay, so I should nail that down. I will be gone Thursday, Friday this week.
So if you get it to me before you leave Wednesday, I can then enter it and have it ready for my end. And
I might show the fog seal, auto seal project for 2026, but it could, before it gets let, it might end up moving to 27. I don't know. That's
yeah, so it's in there one place, it'll show the right balance eventually.
sure. That'll be because we won't have a decision made by that time, by next week. But that's it.
It doesn't matter if we did it the week after, first week in February.
I'd rather just set it and amend it later.
No, I mean your budget.
Yeah.
If you did it the first.
No, I think we need to keep moving. I'm gonna talk about that.
I was gonna be
here.
line next week.
Yeah, fill in the blanks on that. Fill in the blanks.
I will talk more about budget here with Michael's talk.
Yep.
Stuff, the budget things to go through today.
Yep, and I took more time than allotted, so.
Well, no, you were last. There was no allotted.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
All right. On to more budget discussion.
Yeah, the one I have miscellaneous is
Sandberg.
the landfill. So this is like it's a pass through. It's like the Winneshiek Development and Tourism. It's only their wages and only pass through. So you guys must, they approved their budget last week. So I put those numbers in here. I usually round them up a little bit because if there's overtime or something, I want to make sure we have it covered, but it's always an exact equal amount of expense and revenue. So that's an easy one. I'll have other questions I have for budget things are I would like to, because it takes me several days to do the wages. So if you have an idea, I mean, I've talked to a few of you individually. About a third of our employees are already going to get 3%. And so knowing that our valuation numbers are what they are, I'm figuring 3% is at least where you want to start. If that's okay, I'm going to start, because the first step is getting them each calculated, and then I got to put them all into the right budget lines, and then I got to figure the FICA IPERs that are tied to those. So if I can know that 3% is at least the starting point, we'll get this process started. So that was my next question, if everyone's okay with that.
Sounds like other counties have been hearing
About
2.5 to 3%. I'm thinking it was much more than that.
Right.
Shirley, any input?
I'm comfortable at the 3% since we're doing that for the unions.
Yeah, and it's always good if you can to keep the non-union, union people the same, because otherwise you create a.
That's every board I was on, we're all at 3%.
Yeah. So that's one thing I wanted to ask. The other thing is next week, I'll bring the chart with the requests by the different organizations. So next week we'll get Michael in and we can maybe look at those, start looking at those. Because then my goal would be then the first week of February, we can start looking at a first run. So next week, right? Next week would be the last one. Yeah. So next week we'll look at the organizations, and you'll have the organization chart will be blank. The only one that's left is the fair, and they're on next week's agenda. So I'll bring the chart with that one blank. They'll make their presentation, and then we can maybe start looking at those.
I think they plan on keeping it the same.
Okay, so we'll have the organizations. We'll have Michael's budget next week. I'll start the 3%. We got the insurance figures, so really, and assuming, I mean, I'll get Jon Lubke on just to talk to you, but assuming you're okay with the numbers that he's already submitted, then the goal would be the first week of February, we can look at a first run.
We got,
So that's
on
where
our
we're at.
liability and property, we got numbers on that increase.
We won't have those yet. So I'll be guessing those, but I don't think they'll be as, I'm planning to increase them a little.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But we hit that, we had that big 20, it was between 20 and 25% increase, you know, for the current year. So hopefully we hit the hard one already. So the good news, I mean, obviously we need to put numbers in for those. Good news is even though our health insurance is up 8.5%, that's supplemental. Property insurance is supplemental. This one-time payment for our health insurance side fund is supplemental, and anything we can have in supplemental is better, especially this year, because we were gonna have to lower the levy rate anyway this year. So that's good. The general fund is the one we're most worried about usually because of the restriction, but with our higher valuation numbers, that'll help that some. Actually, I think the one that's gonna be the worst this year is rural, because of the fact that the valuation went up 9%, so our transfer to roads are up 9%, but with the restriction, we can only raise 6% more, and that's the biggest chunk of that until I look at the sales tax figures in our current ending balance, I'll know better. Plus, I haven't gotten from Michael the roadside management. That's a separate rural fund. It's not in the road fund. I think in the current year, we put 200,000. If he thinks that's gonna cover again, that's better than if he thinks we need more, then I have to get a number from him yet for that.
Not that I'm saying I want to go here, but if we would get in a pinch in that rural, we wouldn't have to fund that full 100% to.
You wouldn't have to fund the full 100% to roads.
Because we have the 9% in growth, and then they're cutting us back down to 3%, which is
that's what's
toward the road department, which is great.
Yeah.
If we have the money to put there.
Yeah. The two things about that are, no, you don't have to fund the full amount. So that's the thing. Although that has been funded at the full legal limit for at least 30 years, I think. So you want to be the first board that says we couldn't fund the roads as much as we could. So there's that. Plus the fact that you can lower it some and you can lower it, but with the way the current, you know, they're gonna have to change it at the legislature, because if you lower it, say that 3%, say you go, we're gonna only give them 6% more than what they had last year, so instead of 9% more. And then next year and every year you lower that, at some point there's a minimum you have to fund it, otherwise you start getting your DOT money cut. And so that's the concern long term. That might take 10 years or 15 years. But you don't want to ever lose your DOT funding. So you want to make sure you're always doing your
It would definitely be the
minimum.
last resort.
Yes, that's the last resort. I mean, yeah, that's the last resort. There is the one other thing that we can do is there is a process for implementing a rural supplemental fund. But there's a lot of other hoops and strings that we would have to do, and I don't know if the fact that we're still funding roads at 100%, if that is one of the things that maybe that you have to hit a certain problem, a certain issue before you can do that, and I don't know that we're there yet. So, and we actually don't have a lot of, because again, that would be health insurance, FICA, IPERS things, but for rural fund employees, which is only Doug and Tony and some of like the summer mowers and the roads. So there isn't a lot of people that would actually save you a lot of money. But we'll see. And I don't like to make any don't have any panic attack or any, you know, it's a terrible situation until we get that first run. Because until I put all the numbers in and do a first run, we don't really know where we're at. And I think the big savior, at least, I mean, it's not good because when you go to the store to buy something, it's inflation, but because of the inflation, our sales tax numbers have been creeping up too. So that will offset some of that extra 3%.
But it doesn't offset enough of the whole thing to make it any easier.
No. And that's one important thing to keep in mind. And I actually sent a email to our Michael and Michael, our state legislators last week, because I know that part of the Senate bill proposal for the property tax reform the plan was to offset the less property tax with more option for more local option sales tax. The problem is our local option sales tax, because if it's the same as the current one. So our current one, they collected all the local option sales tax in the county is collected, and then it's divvied out to each city. 8 cities each get a share because they have local option sales tax, and then the county gets a share. So our money is legally required to go into the rural fund. Our local option sales tax money is legally required to the local fund because the cities are already getting a share. So if they put more restrictions on county budgets that restrict our general fund, but they give us local option sales tax authority the way it currently is, that won't help. Because we're restricting general fund and only giving us more rural fund money. So my email to Mike is that if you want to help offset the general fund, is you need to authorize a local option sales tax that's countywide, where the county gets all the money, so that we can put it into the general fund. That's the only way that could legally be allowed.
I see the thinking behind it, instead of making the property owners so responsible.
Right? No, I prefaced my email to the Mike that I went through, I'm not opposed to reduction in property tax, because there are several things that aren't equitable about property tax, like, if my farming neighbor might have 1,000 acres and I have 20 acres in my house, he pays 10 times as much property tax, but our service from the sheriff's department or our service from the recycling or the treasurer's office isn't any different. So why does he pay 10 times as much?
He's also making money on the excess acres. He's getting government subsidies, or he's renting it out, or he's, so you're not.
Right, so but how much is he making? So I don't think property tax is the way to do it. Actually, what I told Mike is, because of the fluctuations and what you might make or might not make on your extra property, why don't we have a local option income tax? Like the school has a surtax on your income tax, where they get a percentage based on your income tax. Or sales tax, because if you make more money, you can buy more stuff, we could have more sales tax. Those seem to be more reflective of your.
Let's just hypothetically throw this one in here. You have that neighbor with that 1,000 acres, you have yours. You both get the same service. Your next neighbor rents the house. Well, granted, someone else is paying for that property, but that renter gets the same service without any.
Yeah, they're paying it as part of the rent, presumably, but yeah. So anyway, I'm not fundamentally against reduction in property tax, as long as, that was my intro to my email, is not, as long as we're replacing it with something that counties don't have to cut services. That's what and so,
correct.
So that's why I threw out as options, local option sales tax that goes into the general fund, so it'd have to be countywide. Or local option income surtax, which would be like the schools have that, where you figure your Iowa income tax and then you add a percentage based on which school you live in. You could have a percentage that's based on which county you live in, and that could offset general fund property taxes. I threw out local option. These are all local option because they'd have to be authorized by the voters if they would like do you like income surtax better than property tax, or do you like, sales tax? The third one I said is, what about a local option, fuel tax? We had 3 cents at the pump, and at every pump in Winneshiek County, that money goes directly to the road fund and offsets our transfer from our rural fund. That would be a way to have the users pay for the road rather than the property tax bill.
Probably an easy way to clean
Yeah.
it up. Too.
So those were things I offered in my email as ways to replace the revenue along with unfunded mandates. Maybe you should be picking up the tab for these. Then I gave some examples of things that the state could pay for so that we don't have to pay for them on property tax. So I don't know if that'll get anywhere, but
What the state used to pay for it.
Yeah.
Paying.
Yeah.
So
My first example, I said an easy one is this mailer that we do for property tax, because that was an unfunded mandate in that every county has to send these mailers out. To make it even worse, we have to file our information with the Department of Management at the state. The cities file their information with the Department of Management. The schools file their information with the Department of Management. And then the county auditors have to go take all that 3 sets of information from the Department of Management and arrange to have it mailed out to people. Well, if the Department of Management has it all, why don't they send the mailers? Because
what do you think that total cost was?
it's only 6,000 or 7,000 for us, but times 99 counties. And that's money that's all property tax money.
What's the time
Well, it's not
associated with it?
Yeah. So, I mean, and the fact that they've already got the information at the state, and they could probably negotiate with a printing and mailing company and get a better rate than we're going to each county individually. They'd probably save money just doing it in a big lump sum. Anyway, that's an easy one. It's not a very big dollar amount. So, I threw out some other examples of things that seems like the state could do, because it's already stuff we're kind of coordinating with them anyway. So we'll see if that gets anywhere, but that was my property tax reform talk. So we'll see if anything, how it shakes out, but I am really concerned about what if they just say, oh, we're going to give you this 1 cent sales tax option to help replace this money, but are they thinking about the fact that that's a rural fund money? If they just put it in the same way it currently is, I was concerned they weren't considering that. I know that Mike Bergen knows that, because he was on the board when our first 1 cent sales tax came into place, and the supervisors at the time tried putting that money in the general fund. They put in the general fund because it was brand new and it's local option sales tax, and it got taken through our county budget got appealed to the state, and we were told, no, that can't go in the general fund because the cities are already getting their share. So he knows that, because he was here when that on board when that started.
And have you talked to other auditors, other county auditors? Because those seem like very good ideas.
I have brought them up at county auditors meetings. One of our biggest problems as a county auditors affiliate is that close to half of the auditors are new in the last 4 years. So they're more worried about how do I do this than worrying about big picture. Yeah. Big picture things. So, yeah. And, I don't like to get too involved in the policy part of it. I just, I try to say from an auditor perspective, here's things that I see, especially that maybe you aren't considering. So that's what I like to.
If you take our per capita cost of that number you threw out, what we spend on that one ballot issue, mailing it out, and apply that to the state population, that's 1.2 million.
Yeah, I think that was the 1 million was the kind of the rough figure that was thrown out last year when the auditors all across the state were complaining about that. So
So we got on the budget then?
On the budget, yeah, I will just mention too, while I'm kind of giving my report, is that just FYI, we have the Core School District and Southwind School District calling for special elections on March 3rd. March 3rd, and I already sent Mike an email about that saying that. Anyway, their ballot issues about renewing their physical plant and equipment levy. And it's ridiculous to me that they didn't just put that on November's ballot. We just had a school election in November. They could have put it on that ballot, and they chose not to. It's not like this is a surprise that they need to renew their physical plant and equipment levy. It comes up every 10 years. They have to renew it.
It was the optics of having one on the same ballot.
Yeah.
No, it's the same, it's easier to get them passed.
It's easier to get them passed on a special election. That's true.
People don't realize.
Yep.
Yeah, that they gotta get out and vote. They don't know what's going on.
Yeah, the whole idea.
And
is
so
Elections on one date, on November.
Yeah, they changed the law a couple of years ago that all bond issues have to be on the November ballots. And my request to Mike was every ballot issue, if it's a ballot issue, not a vacancy, needs to go on, should just be on November ballots. That way you get the best turnout. It's the most democratic way to do it, is to do it when you have the best turnout anyway. Why do a special election to try to influence the outcome of a vote? That doesn't seem as democratic to me. All ballot issues should go on November ballots. And I said, and in my opinion, all vacancies in public office should be, if there's 6 months or less till the next election, those should just have to go on the November ballot too, because it's silly if we have to have a special election in October to fill a vacancy when you could have had it in November. But right now there are these deadlines about timing, and sometimes that happens. We had it not last year, the year before, we had a November ballot. The city of Decorah had a vacancy on their city council, but it couldn't be put on the November ballot, so we had to wait till December to do it.
They could have appointed.
They did, but then they got petitioned or what that day, so yeah. So that's what I think is, if it's 6 months or fewer, if there's a vacancy and there's 6 months or fewer, they should either leave it vacant or appoint someone, and there's no special election. If it's more than 6 months and they appoint, they can still petition for a special election, or they can just go to a special election. I understand that, because I think you need to honor the fact that an elected person should have priority over an appointed person. So if there's time to make it worth it, I understand that, but I don't think anything that's a ballot issue, they just need to plan on up and put them on in November.
Anyone have committee reports?
The EMS, the EMS board unanimously for the members that were there to combine with 911, so.
Yeah, and just to clarify, that's the emergency management, not what Steve is here, that not emergency medical services. Yep.
There's two different EMS.
Yeah.
So as of now, that's their joint. I mean, like I told Sean, still send out to all the guys that have 911, when it is, they come and give them.
And actually, I think I heard too that last week a bill was introduced at the state to combine them in every county.
3008.
Yeah.
So if we just did EMS, combine EMS and not 911, then we'd have to peel 911 off to be its own separate board again.
Yeah.
If they combine them both jointly.
That's if you're talking about regionalizing.
Regionalizing, yeah.
At the state, they proposed making 911.
Yeah, that's
emergency
why we
management.
did it.
Yeah.
Stay ahead of the.
Yep, stay ahead of the
game.
Yep.
But then if they decided maybe just to regionalize EMS, then we'd have.
Then you have to take them off again.
Yeah. We did this here to be proactive, kind of.
I've got a Hawk transition board tomorrow, which hopefully we'll be able to maintain our Hawk independence, but might not. County Social Services last meeting will be this Wednesday. Resolve that. 6 county meeting on Thursday and then conference board on Thursday.
What is that, 9:30 on Thursday?
Usually it's 9 for rolls and coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, we did have the one at 8, but that was unusual.
Yeah, that was.
Okay. I had,
I've got something.
Go ahead, Shirley.
Just various meetings this week, but I just want to make sure everybody puts on their calendar March 25th in the afternoon, sometime between 1 and 4. I'm not sure on the exact time yet, is when the Iowa State Association of Counties will be visiting us there in the annex. And I'll have more information on what that afternoon looks like, but the public will be invited, and it's our afternoon with ISAC. So March 25th, the annex is reserved 1 to 4, but I'll get the exact time in one of our next few meetings.
That is for sure an afternoon visit.
Yes.
I think they're in the morning in one of the neighboring counties, so they're doing.
Yep.
being
I'll have more
efficient.
detail. I've
Travel.
asked her a few questions of what that afternoon looks like, what they'd like to see, and we'll be coordinating that, but just make sure you have it on your calendars, and I'll update everybody as I know more information.
Thank you.
All right.
And Ben,
Go ahead, Shirley, if you got something else.
at the next meeting, I'd like to see us have a discussion about some funding, possible funding to go to that water quality monitoring that Larry Weber presented to us. We haven't gotten back to him yet, but he did send us an email and Ben sent that out to us. So is that going to be on next week?
We'll be looking at the whole funding request chart next week, so.
And that's on there.
Given up to other entities for water qualities.
I had a conservation board meeting. I forgot my notes, but I'm gonna try to give you what I remember off the top of my head. That forest resiliency grant, it was for like 25 different areas throughout the county. We received 100% funding.
Oh, wow.
On that, for the big tune of $150-some thousand.
That's awesome.
Here's the one I'm just gonna throw at you. Barb mentioned something about that schoolhouse in Frankville.
Yeah.
So I took off my supervisor's hat and I was a conservation board member. And I asked the question, why does conservation have a schoolhouse? I mean, this does not fit with what county conservation is doing. And the conservation is supposed to be responsible for taking care of this facility. Doesn't make sense. It was a gift that really wasn't a gift in the long run. Whose responsibility it is, I don't know. But there is a grant coming up. I think it has to be due by March 1st or something. For any dollar amount between $75,000 and $150,000 in repairs with a 30% match. Barb went and being it's on the national historical list of buildings,
That's right.
certain things have to be done. Like the shingles have to be wood shake because that was on there. So between some of the updates on the windows, the roof, and some of the masonry around the bottom was $110,000 worth of repairs. And if it come up to conservation to match that, you're talking 33,000 out of conservation. And I said, as a conservation board member, I'm opposed to that. As a supervisor, I don't know what the right answer is. Historical preservation, is that the answer? They don't have the money.
No.
I just don't know. And I didn't realize it is a 2-story schoolhouse.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't even know any of those existed.
It used to be a museum.
And that could very well be. But I don't know.
I'm sure it ended up in conservation's evaluate because it's in a park.
Because they wanted the park.
They wanted the park space.
And,
so
the funny part is behind that, I said, well, that ball diamond, all that land behind there doesn't get used. Let's sell that land, take the funds for that, pay the 33,000, and we'll get the $110,000 worth of repairs. Right up until Barb informed me that that's the cemetery.
Oh, the ball diamond and extra.
Yeah, I said, no, the cemetery's next to it. She goes, no, that's for future expansion. I go, there's not that many people. Yeah, so
Those, yeah.
there's some kind of
Other
eye opener
cemeteries will get
things here.
filled up, maybe they're
Well,
gonna
I
sell
thought-
lots to.
When she said conservation has that building, it's like, well, then it probably should be, use it for something, or it's expensive to maintain.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's no plans for it. And if you were to restore it and keep it for its historic value, there's no public access to it, nor plans to man it and use it as a historic preservation type example or
If there was
anything.
a Historic commission or a museum group or somebody willing to use it, it might be worth, we'll help pay for the repairs if you take it over. and
It's yours, dollar, you have it.
Yeah, that would be the way to do it. I mean,
Museum one time.
maybe if you paid half and they paid half to get it fixed up and we got the grant,
that grant.
and then they would take it over and actually use it for something, that would be different than.
Because I know the conservation board was gonna talk to historical preservation,
Yeah,
but I just thought I'd give you guys an update.
No, I don't blame Barb. She didn't ask for that problem.
Yeah.
No,
But if we're pressed on a little bit of valuation increase we got and the monies we got that we're trying to offset with keeping our employees, et cetera, and we got to come up with another 33,000, where's it come from then?
Yeah, I wouldn't, I mean, you sell something and you have, you sell say you sell the DHS building and you sell it for 300,000, we put 250 to make our last payment, that leaves 50,000, but you've always been talking about
yes.
using that as a locus shop or something, you don't want to put it there, I don't
Building
think.
that we're not going. to
No,
use.
not to give away, no.
It's not going to be used.
So I'm just kind of throwing it out there. If there's any other groups that are interested in it.
Talk about it in the public meeting, maybe somebody will step forward and say, hey, we want it for a.
And you can't afford that.
And I was in that meeting.
I know.
While I was sitting listening to that conversation, my brain went to announce that we're going to eliminate this historic building. And the public will come out of the woodwork saying, oh, no, you gotta keep it. But the $30,000 plus coming out of the conservation budget in order to match those funds just seems like an unusual thing to happen.
Yeah.
You can outcry without the ability to fund it, is exactly what you're saying. They can have an outcry and I understand it. I'm on the Historic Preservation Commission and I'd like to see things maintained and kept. But if there's no money to do it.
Then my answer to that is that people that are worried about it, come up with the money then. Put your money where your mouth is. If you're worried about all these things, come out here with the money. Solve the
The
problem.
one question I
Volunteer to
didn't ask is, does it have to be a county board or county conservation or the
Oh, to
board
get
of
the
supervisors in order to secure that grant?
grant.
I never asked that question, but I guess.
And if it had to, we could work something out. I mean, we
The
could,
money to pass through somehow.
Yeah.
Get
Well,
it there, but
We have a month and a half.
right.
Yeah.
To get that grant. So that's why I kind of wanted to get it out
yeah, I
in the
mean,
air a little bit.
I don't know that you're gonna have enough organizations to get it.
If
Get
somebody,
it timed.
if
Although
somebody
I
wants
think if
to,
I know that grant, it's one that comes up annually, so.
Yeah.
Maybe a year from now,
Well,
you could get it
it's
organized.
a possibility you can apply for that grant
Turn it down.
and then turn it down if you can't come up with the
The money.
30% match
Yeah,
over a certain amount of time. I think there's just a few
That's
moving
true.
things in there that you really gotta figure out in order to understand it, but.
so is the conservation, they're taking care of the cemetery's property then
Mhm.
then why are we spending them dollars to do that? If it ain't our property, where that's
why I was
that's not
assuming
the,
it was our
that's not
property.
the county taxpayer's obligation to take care of.
No, it should go with.
Other than if they're using it
Whoever
as a
taking care
park.
of cemeteries.
I believe
if
they
it's
paid
being used.
for that. I could be wrong.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. But
Do people use that park? I mean, if there's people that use it and you know, we're mowing it because there's people who play ball there every week or something. That's different than if we're just mowing it to mow
I
it.
believe it gets a lot of use.
So even where the park is, that's not,
On the corner
yeah.
where the building is, that's all.
Oh, the park is ours.
Yes.
Do they play, does the Ocean baseball field get mowed and does it get used?
It gets mowed, doesn't get used.
And that's another conservation baseball diamond that's sitting there.
Well, and that's the things we're looking that we have to clean up on conservation, but the school thing came along, it's kind of, wow, this makes no sense, but
Hopefully somebody in the public wants to step forward.
Yeah,
It'd be nice if the media could put it out.
well, it's too bad they're still here, but.
I would motion to adjourn.
no,
We
we
got-
have consent
Agenda,
agenda.
yeah. I have. I have the minutes and I have a liquor license for Southwind Golf and Country Club. And I have, so we used to do all the tobacco licenses in one group, but they've changed now. The businesses have to apply through the same place where you, through the Iowa Gov Connect website for those too. So now those are gonna come sporadically, just like the liquor licenses. So I have the tobacco license for the Bluffton Campground and Bar. So I have those three
I
things.
move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
A motion second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And just before we adjourn, there is an assessors meeting on
Conference.
Thursday night.
That's-
I won't be here. I'll be gone.
Okay.
I will
Other than
not be
that-
at that meeting either.
And the way the conference board works, the supervisors get one vote. So whether it's 3 of you or 5, it shouldn't matter. You'll get one vote.
One of the three. Mark, are you able to be there?
I'll
I'm
be-
planning on being there.
I'll plan on being.
Yeah, so you'll still get your one vote, whether
I
it's.
told them I'd be gone.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
motion and second for adjournment. All those in favor, say aye.
Is
Aye.
Then is that safety meeting canceled today or?
There's probably 3 meetings on Thursday.
Now that's up to you. I guess.
There's 3 meetings on Thursday.
Since you'll probably be in charge of it, since she usually is.
Six County and assessors.
It could be.
I've got to get on the road right now, so I will not be at that meeting. I'll be on the road.
Thank you. Thank you, Shirley.
Thank you.
Happy travels.
I mean, I can send out a cancellation if you want to cancel it. I don't know if the other people on the committee were even thinking about it or if they were planning to attend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Explain to me how we own the land. What are we still responsible?
We aren't responsible for much down there.
This is the reason.
How many board members are there?
There's still 3 here, sorry. We aren't responsible, I mean, we don't pay anything down there.
Oh, I know. That's the point. This is.
Maybe you want to give them the land so you don't have to worry about it anymore, but I don't know that it's
No,
great
we
cost.
got- We still got the contract. And if it was stupid for county, I don't know if it'd be wise to do that. Because it kind of keeps
Yeah, there is.
anchor to stay.
There are some other land spaces near the hospital that they aren't using that we just have sitting empty. Like over by that one parking lot, when they were doing their construction, they came and asked to use that land for additional parking while they did their construction.
Pull up and see for a minute. I got an email from Ben.
That they're.
He's their
Fine.
CFO. He said, I wanted to start, I attend some of their board meetings, and so he emailed me. I wanted to attend a conversation with you surrounding a cost-sharing proposal for improvements to the grounds that both WinMed and Northeast Iowa Behavioral Health occupy. Well, we have nothing to do with behavioral health, right?
Well, no, we own that.
We own that land.
Yeah.
But that's it. Similar situation, right? We're budgeting to replace the pavement entering and exiting the parcel per the attached plans. Green and red areas, conversation between NEIABH and WinMed have begun to share have begun to share in the cost of the entrance exit area noted in green, since both our patients currently use this pathway. The red area will be a responsibility of WinMed. The reason I'm emailing you is to determine if a cost sharing opportunity could exist to construct a safer walking path around facilities, which is noted in blue.
So they're asking if you want to contribute money.
Right.
Because you own land there, but.
And it's, that would, your estimated share would be 321,000.
I'll tell you, when they built that new retaining wall along Montgomery Street, the sidewalk,
Yeah.
they asked the county at that time if we would cost share, and we said no.
Yeah. Well,
Because we don't, yes, we own the land, but we don't have any, we don't use it at all, so. You know, as far as we're concerned, we don't, as far as the county's concerned, we don't care what condition the driveway's in, so if they think they need a new driveway, let them put in a new driveway.
So do we want to put this on for a little point of discussion on the agenda, or do we want to let it sit?
I think unless you want to respond and say you should formally meet with the board, I don't think we need to respond.
Unless you, I think I would say if you.
I think so.
You could say, I think it's unlikely.
I think it's unlikely that the board is in a position to want to participate.
Yeah.
But I would suggest that if it becomes an issue serious enough, then perhaps you should schedule to be on our agenda.
Yes, that's the way I would do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if we don't hear anything from them, we don't worry about it. And if they get on the agenda, then they can come and get the bad news in person rather than. Oh, okay, Fatima, there's only two here now.
Jeopardize the possibility of them picking up public health. That's why I brought that up about that state fund, that